is sensational. All right. So first up, we've got Georgina Orchard, and I'm going to bring her out in a few seconds. So what I love about Georgina is that we are accountability buddies. So we catch up every Wednesday morning, and she is another giver. Gives, and always has so much value. And I feel it's not a fair exchange because like she's always giving me so many ideas, so many like different concepts and things that I can work on. And I absolutely love her to bits. She's an incredible human. She's an author. She's great at business. Let's get her out here. Georgina Orchard.
Happy birthday, Dre. And I just can't believe you have put so much work into this program this weekend. You're a mega star and mammoth effort. You deserve a week off after this. I think, you've been going from 6 a.m. to 11 a.m. or something. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I will definitely take a few days off, and I'm just going to rethink about a few things about my business and about my life, and where I want to go. So yeah, it's been awesome.
Well, I'm really honoured that you've asked me to speak. And the same with, Brett Anslow and Paul Yeo, raising money for this amazing charity. I just think it's just something that's not done very often, and I love that everyone's pulled together. And it looks like I surpassed the goal. I think the goal was $5,000, but we've surpassed that. We're nearly $6,000 or something like that. So that's absolutely fabulous. I really applaud everyone that's donated, but keep donating. I think the more we can raise, there's just so much research out there that's being done. So
that's right.
Well done, guys.
All right, Georgie, what are you going to talk to us about today?
I'm going to give you a few tips on managing business and admin a bit more effectively as a solo coach.
I need it.
Also,
I need it.
You need it. Okay. All right. Well, take notes. We're going to do a handout at the end. So I've got just a little tip for organising your filing system for all your finance stuff at the end. And I'll drop that in the comments. So this one, so that everyone can pick it out, or you can PM me on Facebook or LinkedIn, and I can give you that too. So
awesome. All right. I'll leave you to it.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. I'll see you in about 20-ish.
All right. Awesome. That sounds good. All right. So let's talk about managing your business and your admin. Okay. So one of the things that we as coaches, I don't know if we really think about running our business as a business. If you were a business in the main strip of your local shops, how would you run your business compared to how you're running your coaching business? So if you've got to treat it as if the client walked into your office, what would they see? What would they see in the background? So where are your files kept? Is it messy? Is it clean? Also, if it is a mess, and a lot of coaches go through the fact that they're in overwhelm, there's so much to do in running a small business that there's quite a bit of chaos around paper. And if you looked at my desk from time to time, it is covered in paper. Like, it's kind of like, well, do I need to print all that stuff out? Do I need to have it front of mind? Where can I file it so that I know where it is when I need it, and remember that it's there, and remember that I have it, right? So that kind of, if you're a visual person, then you like to have it around. So then how can I set it up so that it's organized, so that I know where it, and how do I know where to reference it if I need it? So the key to effective management and admin is organization. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about organization, and then I'm going to give you a tip sheet for organizing your finance files at the end. Okay. So who gets frustrated with all the admin? I know I do, and I've got a business background, a business analyst background, an accounting background, and I get frustrated with it all. So I can imagine that other people get frustrated with it as well. there's so many different hats that you have to wear. You have to use the sales and marketing hat. You have to use the research hat. You're learning still, and then you've got this admin on the side. Admin is part of the business. It's part of managing the business. Knowing your numbers is part of the business. So what I want to bring up too is that a lot of people find the chaos of the paperwork overwhelming. They feel like they have a lack of time to do it, so they don't allocate any time. And they also don't understand numbers. From the old thing at school, oh, I don't understand numbers, so I'm not good at it. You're confused about what system to use or systems and how to link them up. All that technology can be a bit bamboozling. All you want to do is coach, I get it. So how do we link the systems that we already have? How can we be organised? How can we save time? So if we do have systems and we automate, we're actually going to save time. A lot of mistake that we make is that we say, I don't have time to do this, and I'll leave it to the accountant, or I'll leave it to the end of the quarter when I've got to put my BAS in, or I'll leave it to the end of the year. Well, really, if you do that, you're not going to know how your business is going during the year. So treating numbers like a year-end thing or a quarterly thing really needs to be pulled back. So it's a weekly thing. Managing cash flow in your business is really key to staying in profit and making sure that you're not making continuous losses. Because if you're making continuous losses, the risk is that you could be trading insolvently. And say if you were a builder, that's illegal to trade insolvently, okay? So you have to make sure that you're able to get funds when you need them. So there's no point doing the same thing. It's almost a sign of madness, doing the same thing and expecting a different result. So the other thing about leaving it to someone else to do, a lot of business people in the past, and they still currently find, is that if they leave it to someone else and they leave all the cash stuff, the risk is that they'll get ripped off. Okay, so I have a couple of case studies. So one of a client that I had was an artist, and she'd been going on for a lot of years. She loves doing art, but she didn't treat it like a full-on business. She didn't take herself seriously. She didn't feel worthy enough either. So, you know, a lot of your business is 80% mindset. It's how you run it and how confident you are in yourself. She had no idea whether she was making money or not. She had all these options available to her, but just didn't utilize them. So when I came along, we got all organized, we got all the filing system up to date. We started a marketing campaign to get her out there. It was almost like she kind of dropped off, and kind of the self-worth thing was playing into her, against her. So another one of my clients, and I find this quite a lot, is that a lot of clients have an account for everything or every type of money that comes in. And it's a big no-no, really. Just if you've got 10 accounts across your personal thing, narrow it down to 1 or 2 and maybe a credit card, because chances are you'll probably have transfers going in and out. And if accountant or your year end you've got to look at all that, it's going to be completely overwhelming. Plus, you only need 1 or 2 accounts. A business account, if you're a sole trader, a business account and your personal account, just 2, plus a credit card perhaps, all right? Or you might have a mortgage as well. And if you've probably got a linked saver account to that mortgage, just only put things into each account that need to be there. Don't transfer some money across just to transfer it. Like if you've got Centrelink income coming in, don't transfer it to the savings account just to withdraw it. So there's a particular setup and process of doing it, so it keeps life easy. And then when you go to track it and someone else has to track it for some particular reason, it's easy. It's easy to do, because you can get overwhelmed, and then it takes months to actually At the moment, what I'm doing for another client is actually untangling the web of all the transactions. And they had a bookkeeper doing it, and they've put it to loan accounts and different accounts. And so we've had to undo the whole thing to create the new picture, because the picture that the accounts were telling was that she was making a certain amount of profit. But what had happened is they doubled up the income. Instead of putting the receipts for invoices against the accounts receivable, they'd put them against income. So they doubled up the income. So it can be misleading. So you need to be on top of it. And that's where the education comes in. So managing your business, really, it starts with a vision. It starts with your vision about what you want to create as a business owner, and who in your world you want to impact, and how do you want to impact? What's your mission? So one of the things that we do is we do a roadmap. So this is a simple roadmap here of basically discovery, looking at your processes and systems, delegating if we need to, and then delivering the results and actually educating you on what you need to look at. So there's certain reports you can get out of accounting systems. So that's in here. So we put some accounting systems in to work, and then we put the people in that can support that, whether you've got an assistant accountant or someone that can do some bookkeeping for you, but they're under the guise of a trained person, so someone can check what they're doing. Okay, so we need to make the system work for you so that it's efficient, effective, and easy. Because if you're a person that's not trained in accounting or business analysis, then it's going to be hard to understand all that. So you need someone who can understand. So that's where you get training. What else? Oh, we also want to look at what key performance indicators and reports that you can use that will give you all the information that you need to run your business. Say, for example, if you haven't been tracking your results and you like coaching men, but you're actually better at coaching women because you've got more female clients and there's more revenue from that, then those reports should reflect that. So it's setting that up so that you understand your reporting system. And remember, when you know better, you do better. Okay. So here are a few tips, and I'm going to drop this into the link after the presentation for sorting out your admin so that it's easy to find. So the first thing is you take out your phone. This is the easiest thing. It's generally in your hand. You might have been to the shop and you've bought yourself a paper. You've met with a client and you might have had a coffee. 2 deductible expenditures, 2 business-related expenditures. So you pay with your phone. You then take a copy you ask the shop owner for a receipt. You take a photo of that receipt, and then what you're going to do is you're going to save it onto your smartphone in one of the folders that you will set up. And in the fact sheet, it tells you how to do that. And then you'll locate everything in relation to all the finance and receipts and bank statements under finance in your filing system, whether it be iCloud or whether it be Google, or you might put it in Dropbox, or you might use some other system. Okay, so, but what we want to do is we want to index it. So we want to index it. So for this particular year, we've just moved into financial year 2023. So what we'll do is we'll label this current financial year 2023, and then we'll label the receipt with the current date, 2022, and today is the 17th of July, so we'll put 0717 and say if it was your local favourite coffee shop. Mine's Maggio, so I put Maggio's coffee with, and you could say, client, so coffee with client X, okay? So when you go then to upload the receipts, you need the receipts as a backup. If you're ever audited by the tax office, it's kind of a stressful thing, but if you're organised, it's not. You can just hand it over and say, here it all is, okay? So the other thing too is that we have bank statements. So for every bank account you have, what we'll do is we'll label it under finance, bank statements, and then you'll have a financial year for every financial year you go back. We have to keep 5 years of information for the tax office. So once we've submitted the return, then add 5 years to that. That's how long you have to keep those records, and then you can delete them. So that's all. You just got to keep them somewhere. Sometimes it's good to have a backup as well, just in case iCloud fails, touch wood. And then you will, instead of having, your receipts and your statements in a pile on your box or in a drawer, there's no need to print them off. You can just digitally file them. So we don't need a whole lot of paper. I know people keep receipts and things in the ashtray of their car. They keep them in a box somewhere near their desk. And then, they're cleaning up and they might chuck them out. So then those receipts go. So it's best to have a digital copy. And we're allowed to do that now. So remember, so one step at a time. We don't want you getting into overwhelm. Just do one thing at a time for your admin. We could do it 20 minutes every day. 20 minutes every day, managing and organising every day, because it is part of your business. It is a process. If you would like to be a business owner rather than the technician, it's about looking after your business and leading, being the leader in your business. Even if you're the sole person, it's leading with the right structure. It's leading with the right processes. So keep your vision in mind when you're making new decisions and investing in programs or systems for your business, and make sure that they're part of the roadmap. So we create the roadmap for our own business and of where we want to go and what we want to use. So all those systems, when I do that for my clients, actually have a roadmap, beautiful roadmaps, nice and colourful, so they can see everything that they need and where it is. And then we look at the processes and the organisation and the structure. So get the right advice, not from your bookkeeper. You can either ask your accountant or you can ask someone like myself, like a business analyst, and set up your integration of your systems now, because that is the automation. It's making everything automatic. And as the more streamlined that you get it, the easier it is. So remember, as you go along, you're learning new things and you're storing that in the back of your mind. And as you get better doing it, you'll know more and you'll do things better. So I'd like to ask you to take some responsibility for your business, because as a coach, that's a congruent thing to do, isn't it? We ask our clients to be congruent. So we need to be congruent with what in our own business. Every day, no excuses. Plan your management and admin, 20 to 30 minutes. And a day just to update and track the revenue and expenses and client data. If we don't have client data, lead tracking on different things, we won't know when they've been paid, when you've been paid, or when you need to pay bills and that sort of thing. But really, it's important to keep on top of your clients' payments as well. So cash flow is really important. Next, you need to repeat after me. I love numbers. It is money and my energy. And I'm going to finish on, I have a book out at the moment called Make the Shift, and it's for coaches and business people. So go there, have a read. If you send me a link, all you have to do is go to georginaorchard.com and order the book. It is free at the moment. And so, go there and order it, and I'll send it out to you. And on the back, there's a little bonus on the back of the book. So it's actually a very valuable bonus. So you there's a free strategy session in there. So that's some little tips for managing your business more effectively. I hope that is valuable, and that's it.
Hey, Georgie, thank you I love numbers. I love numbers. I love numbers. That was hard for me to say.
Well, think of it as money. It's the same energy, kind of like I love numbers, you know, and almost like you can feel like you can eat it, because if you could eat money, you could probably eat money. So think of that as
I love that. And your book as well. So you said your book is free at the moment.
Yeah, it's free at the moment. So yeah, it's on my. Can I type into? I can't type into there. So if you want to type into the chat, it's www.georginaorchard.com, and it's not a very big website. It's just basically specifically for the book at the moment, and they can order it, and then there's a special bonus once they've read it. They get a special bonus.
Sorry, was it? I was just daydreaming then. So www.georginaorchard.com.
ORCHARD.com.
Mm-hmm. That's what you said.
That's it. One. Awesome.
Brilliant. All right, so we've got a few minutes. I think Brett's up next, and then Heidi, and I can see Heidi in the background. Oh, I think she's smiling. I think I can see her smile. Oh, she's waving. She's waving. All right, so a couple of questions. So the best place to get you, I'm assuming, is going to be Facebook, and also your website to be able to get your book.
Yep. And they can also Facebook PM me or LinkedIn. We're streaming to LinkedIn at the moment, I think. And yeah, all my contact details are on the book. So if you order the book, you'll have my information. I'll send it out to you.
And I've been asking everyone this question, and I know that I will know the answer. I should know the answer. With your clients and the people that reach out to you for your services, what are some of the common problems and the patterns that you see in relation to their challenges and obstacles?
Overwhelm is one. Two is things are chaos. Like things are all over the place, or they don't know how to read the balance sheet. What am I looking at? I don't understand what I'm looking at, or I don't understand actually how to start doing it.
Yeah.
So I'm currently in the process of hiring some bookkeepers. They're like VA bookkeepers, but they've got accounting experience, and then I will be supervising their work. So I'll be, that's part of the delegation thing, is to help people, because I certainly don't want to go in there and have to do it, because it does take quite a long time. So I have people that do that for me. And, I've done, it took me a little bit to learn Xero, for example, and there's other people use QuickBooks and different things like that. But what I find is that if people just jump on and just start putting data in, they don't really know what they're doing. And in that case with the second client that I was talking about, we're undoing a lot of the stuff that's been done, and kind of thinking that's wasted hours and money that have been poured into someone helping you out. So you need to provide advice at first.
Awesome, thank you. And final words. So, do you have a quote? Do you have something inspirational, something motivational, something empowering, or even maybe a dad joke for me?
No, I'm not good at jokes, but so I'll stick to the kind of thing. But my business is called Design the Rest of Your Life Coaching, and I believe that if you design your business, you're going to design your life. So design your business and design your life, because it's all about work-life balance.
I love that. Georgie, absolutely love you to bits. Thank you for coming up. Thank you for all the support as well, because I've seen you over the last couple of days supporting everybody in the background, asking questions. And you're absolutely amazing. And thank you for your donation, your energy, your time, and for being you. I love catching up with you on I still feel it's not a fair exchange, man. It's not a fair exchange where. So love you to bits, and I will see you on Wednesday.
Yeah, we'll see you on Wednesday. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, me too. All right.
Okay,
so next we have. Oh, sorry, I've got you. Next, we've got the main man, Rett ANSLOW, and then afterwards we've got HEIDI, MADDY. So Brett's going to be talking. He's going to be giving us a bit more information on Rett syndrome. So I was going to play a practical joke on him. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do what he done to me.
Hello, mate.
How are you, legend?
Very good. Very
good. You?
Very well. Yeah.
I planned. Do you know what I planned? You know what you done to me on April Fool's Day? I was going to do the same thing. I was going. I just couldn't do it to you.
But you invited me on April Fool's to do it, so it's hilarious. Like I could not take that opportunity and miss it. So yeah, it's pretty funny.
Mate, I just want to say, just thank you to you and to Paul for all of your support and the work that you're doing and in the background. It's been brilliant. And I'm going to leave you. You happy if I just leave you to it? And you?
Yeah. So I've got a few slides to go over, and we'll just go through all the basic stuff, and hopefully I've got half an hour or so to get through it all, and leave some questions at the end for any of the audience. Sounds good.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, I'm just going to share my screen. On the screen, this one here. So you should be able to see this now. There should be a presentation up there.
Yeah, we've got it.
Come up.
It has. I'll get rid of this.
Oh shit! Sorry. Give me 2 seconds. Where is it? I don't want that one. Nope. Sorry, give me a second. Let me share again. It's on the wrong screen. Share. Wait, 2 seconds. That's going to be the other screen. Share this one.
Cool. Get that for you.
Okay, so can you see that screen now?
Yeah, I can see it. Are you good to go?
Good to go. So yep, put it up there. You can see me on. Yeah.
Yep, you're all good. You're all good.
Good to go. Okay, cool. Right. So Rett syndrome. Rett syndrome is a genetic condition, and my daughter Holly, who is in this picture here with a lovely dress on, the younger girl, with my older daughter Emily. She is 8 years old now, and she has Rett syndrome. So we had the diagnosis at age 3. She hadn't developed a lot between the ages of about 18 months, 20 months, up until the age of 2. So we did the genetics testing. It took a long time. There's a lot of, is she got this? Has she got this? So there's a lot of issues there. And I think it was quite sad, like it's a very sad thing to go through as a parent. And Paul Yeo will tell you the same thing, to be diagnosed that your daughter is going to have this genetic condition and she's never going to be able to walk and talk and communicate. And she's probably going to die by the age of 10. It's pretty horrific. So, you go through a really, really tough time with that diagnosis. It's really tough. And as you come out the other end of it, it obviously gets happier because you got this beautiful daughter, and you see all the bright things in life. But it's a tough environment to be in. So I'm just going to go through some facts, some very, very basic sort of facts around Rett syndrome. The condition is it's really a bit like autism. So it's on the autism spectrum. It's like a child having autism, cerebral palsy, Parkinson's, epilepsy, and anxiety all in one little girl. And we don't know everything about her body. We know how she reacts to certain things, but she can't tell us, so she can't say I've got a sore belly, or at the moment she's really constipated, so she's got lots of issues to go to the toilet, but she's in pain, crying at night, and you just can't ask those questions. It's really, really tough. And her world is us. It's 2 parents and a brother and a sister, and it's a really really tough environment for her because we can't really talk to her about anything. And Rett syndrome is a neurodevelopmental disorder. It's genetic. There's no cure today, but we are working on a cure, and I'm going to talk to you about that in the coming slides. It's caused by the random mutation on the MECP2 gene. Now, this gene is on the X chromosome, and as I've stated here, it says it affects mostly girls. The problem that we have, or the problem with the Rett syndrome affecting girls, is that it does affect boys, but boys have an X and a Y chromosome, and the mutation on the X chromosome doesn't allow their body to function at all. So they die in the body of the mother, so in utero, or they die a few weeks after being born. And we don't know the numbers because not a lot of people go and do $3,000 or $4,000 worth of genetics testing to find out, whether the boys have that. They don't know. There's so many genetic conditions out there. So the girls continue to live because they have 2 X chromosomes, and one X chromosome's got a mutation on it, and the other X chromosome's functioning healthily. So they actually live. The boys, it could be in the same sort of ratio of girls. We just don't know. There are some boys who have what they call a type of Rett syndrome, and it's actually the duplication of the MECP2 gene, and it causes the same sort of effects as the girls, but it's like 1 in a million to have a duplication of that gene. So when we say it affects mostly girls, it does affect boys, but they just die. We don't get to see them live much longer than a couple of weeks outside the womb. It happens, it doesn't happen. It happens at birth and at conception, but we see the emergence of the condition between 6 and 18 months. So Holly actually, she said mama and dada and baba, when she was about 6 or 7 months. And then she stopped talking, and she didn't really say them too much, and she couldn't crawl, and she couldn't develop. And so at that point, we were like, oh, something's going wrong here. After 12 months, she wasn't doing anything that she was supposed to be doing. And then by the age of 18, 20 months, we then, did all the testing and seeing pediatricians and stuff. And so it's a tough environment there, as parents not knowing the question. And then when you get that genetic condition, also that genetic diagnosis, it's tough. Big pill to swallow, really tough. It's not easy to go through that, and it causes her problems with language, coordination, and movement. It really is quite debilitating for some of the girls. Holly's very good. She can crawl, she can stand, we can walk her assisted, so we can hold her hands. But there's a lot of girls who are in wheelchairs who are tube fed through their bellies. They can't eat food. Seizures all day long. It's really, really tough. And sadly, a lot of the girls don't make it to adulthood. About 15% lose their lives at the age of 10. A few live between the ages of 10 and 25. And then there's very few girls that we know globally that live, above 35, 40. There was a lady the other day, who reached the sort of 70s and 80s, but, it's quite rare indeed. The next thing here we'll just explain is just the numbers. So in Australia, there's about 430 girls in Australia. It's 1 in 10,000 girls worldwide. So, in Australia, there's a small number, but, it's around 400,000 or 390,000 cases globally. And if you added all the boys on there as well, there'd be 800,000 cases within the last so many years. And it's a big number. So, when you're talking 1 in a million, the genetic research doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen because it's so rare and it's so hard to be able to fund a project where there's only a few people, a handful of people. But Rett syndrome is quite lucky that it's not so rare that the research can't be done. So there are a lot of people doing research globally, and I was very lucky to meet our researcher Wendy Gold at Westmead Hospital, and I'm going to explain to what she's doing in the lab in the next couple of slides that we go through. Little update on Holly. So there's a few people who have met Holly in the group here. She hasn't grown much in the last year. She's still 14 kg. She's very happy. A little bit taller, always smiling. Our neurologist has had her on CBD oil, which is the marijuana oil, for the last couple of years, and just working very well. And her seizure activity has really decreased quite a lot. So we're quite happy. She's always, always smiling, happy, never really crying very much, except for when she has a bit of constipation. So we are very happy. She doesn't progress a lot like other children. Like the progression is very flat and very flat through the years. Now I'm going to start talking about research, and Wendy Gold and her team out at the Westmead Children's Hospital Research Centre here in Sydney. When I first found out that she was there and her team, we'd raised a couple of $1,000s through a little thing, and we wanted to donate it to finding a cure for Holly. And we went out and met her, and she said to me, I've got this team. There's a team of 2 in the lab. I was like, that's a big team. And we had a good chat about how much money she needed to get a cure, and it was like $5 million. And I'm like, oh my goodness, where are we going to get $5 million from? And over the years, I've been raising money for the last 5 years, and we're multiples of hundreds of thousands of dollars have come in now. It's some big corporate funding, and we're doing very well. And we've got some big grants that have come through as well, but we still need a lot more money. So obviously this event that we're doing, you know, over the weekend is great. We do need as much money as we can, and every little bit helps, whether it's $5,000 or $10,000 or some bigger donations, some of the corporates, but every single little bit matters, because we have so much that we want to do, and without the money we can't do it. So Wendy and her team have just been absolutely amazing, and you know, she's like a second wife to me. We talk all the time. We have such a great relationship, and you know, it's just been really, really amazing. But to have your daughter diagnosed with Rett syndrome and then have someone who's, you know, 45 minutes from your house actually doing the research into Rett syndrome was just, which is mind-boggling, you know, when we first found out. So we're doing gene therapy, and we're going to talk about gene therapy a little bit longer, but it's basically introducing healthy copies of the MECP2 gene into to compensate for the mutated gene. So in the lab, we have 4 pillars of research. We have the gene therapy, which we're working very hard. We have some drug testing as well, disease modeling within mice and brain organoids. And we have a biomarker discovery sort of pillar that we've been working on in the last year. And so that, so we've got quite a few people in the lab, and I'll explain all the numbers going through, but it's been growing. So we've gone from 2 people up to over 11 people now, 13 people we're up to in the lab. And so we've got different people working on different parts of the cure and some of the testing that's required. The next slide, just a very brief overview of what gene therapy is. Gene therapy will replace faulty genes with healthy ones. So it's an alternative to drugs and surgery, and we are going to deliver this gene therapy through viruses. Now, as you know, everyone's pretty up a buffet on sort of the viruses in the last couple of years with coronavirus being around, but viruses are really, really bad, except for when you want to get something across the blood-brain barrier. And there's a barrier in the brain that stops everything going into it, and it stops all the viruses going in. We're actually going to be using some viruses that are safe, that actually go through the blood-brain barrier to carry this genetic code through. So we're actually going to be using a virus in Holly's body and all the girls' bodies to transport this mechanism. So it's very exciting. Never been done ever in the world. No one's ever edited the brain, the DNA in the brain of a human. They have used the technique that we're going to be talking about in the eye, a very small technique where someone had a bit of cancer, but no one's ever done this in a larger scale, and especially on the brain. So how it works with the gene editing side of things is a thing called CRISPR. And if you'd watched The Blacklist, which is a show on TV, if you'd watched it, you know, last season, they actually mentioned this in The Blacklist. And we're talking about, you know, gene editing, and you know, and I was like, oh my God, you know, here's CRISPR. It's actually, you know, futuristic talk, you know, and a sort of science fiction-y type of film, you know, and where they're talking about a lot of technology. But that's actually what we're doing. We're going to be using this CRISPR technique, and one of them is editing the DNA or strategy. And so we actually go in, and this CRISPR technique cuts out the DNA strands, and it can replace them or edit them, and it's quite an amazing technique. And Holly's gene, which is the MECP2 gene, there's about 25 different mutations that all the girls have. So not all the girls have the same mutations. So we've actually got some editing strategies that we can actually go along and maybe just take out the part that's causing her the problem, or we can take the whole gene out. So there's quite a few different techniques we're using, but this is just one of them. The second one is the transfer therapy, and looking at the mutated genes on the X chromosome. So I think this slide's just a little bit delayed. Should come up in a second. And you know, gene transfer therapy is another one that we're working on, and transferring the therapy, or transferring the gene across, and restoring the cellular function of the cell with the new MECP2 transfer gene. Now, it's only very, very technical, and obviously you might get a bit lost in the next few slides, but really it comes down to taking a healthy copy of this gene and going into the blood-brain barrier. So we'll inject it into her blood. It will go up into her brain, across the blood-brain barrier, and it will go in through and edit the DNA in her body, in her brain. Now, the cells of the skin, you know, cells of the skin and all the other cells in the body, they actually replicate constantly. So you're constantly producing new cell skins and everything like that. But the brain doesn't do that. The brain is static. So when you have the brain when you're born, it doesn't change. So we actually don't have the ability to grow the brain or doing all that. We actually have to go and edit that DNA in the body. So it's actually a very different technique than what we'd have maybe if you had a lung or a heart or those types of gene therapy transfers that later on that might happen. So the next slide is just what we've been doing with my daughter Holly, and we have some mice in the lab, and obviously the mice, we've done the testing on the mice. In 1994, they found the genetic mutation on the gene. In the year 2000, they actually were able to create a Rett mouse. In the year 2007, they were able to then go back and take all the DNA back to single cell and remove the Rett syndrome. So within that very short space of time, less than 20 years, they were able to find the gene, create a mouse that had Rett syndrome, and then remove the DNA and change it back. We've done that. We've done that in the mice, and we've been able to start working on the mice's brain and be able to do the gene editing and gene therapy. But it doesn't respond very well to humans, because humans have a very different makeup, millions and millions of proteins and different stuff that's going on, and the mice are quite small. So what we did actually, and we'll show you some of the slides, is actually took my daughter's skin cells, sent them to the US, and they sent them back in as a brain cell. And what they do is they put skin cells next to brain cells and they produce them. So that's what the slide's actually looking at. And we're basically taking some biopsies, sending them out, and then correcting them, and then putting them back in again. The next slide actually is what actually happens. So they take stem cells from the patient. So up on the left-hand corner, it says skin biopsy from patients. They then create some fibroblasts. Now, I'm not a biologist, I'm not a scientist. They then cultivate them, send them, and then they create stem cells, and they reprogram them, they send them back, and they create little mini brains. So this is just a couple of slides here that you can see here. It isn't as simple as this first slide. It's quite a complicated process, but the money that we've been raising and using has actually funded this. So all the money that I've raised in the last couple of years, we're actually using to send it over to the US, because if we had to do this project ourselves, it might take us 10 years to do, and they're doing it very well in the US. So the next slide you'll see here is you see my daughter Holly, and this is actually her having the biopsy. So they took a tiny little swab skin out of her body, and then they put it into frozen, cryogenically frozen tank, so container, sent it to the US. The US guys do their magic. They then send it back to us, and on the right-hand side, you'll see the brain organoid, and it's characterized by fluorescent imaging. Now, that's just a big, huge microscope going in, but that's basically her brain sitting at Westmead Hospital, and it's sitting in a tank now. And when they wanted to do some research, they take it out of the tank, they go away, they do their research, and if they need more, they take it out. And they've got so much there, even just a tiny little swab that they got out of her arm. So they're actually using my daughter's brain cells in a cryogenically frozen lab. That sounds like something out of a Marvel movie or something, but yeah, it's absolutely amazing. But anyway, that is the process we're doing at the moment. And once we get it working in Holly's cells, and we'll know that it will work in her body very well, and then we can start clinical trials in humans. And we are really close, and I can't give you a number, but if I said 3 to 5 years, we might be doing clinical trials. It might be very close to that sort of number. This is a slide just on some of the fibroblasts and neurons and the brain organoids, what they're doing in the lab, creating the activated cells there. You may have heard of DNA and RNA extraction analysis. I've taken these from slides that our PhD students have been using, so not really overcomplicated, very simple. And this is really how the mouse models and DNA extracting happens. We have at the bottom there, you'll see this open field test and whole body, rotary and elevated mazes. This is how we test the mice. So they're a Rett mouse. We inject the MECP2 into their bodies. We fix them up. We then do the DNA extraction, and then we put them through tests. And we say, well, what's going wrong with them? Are they able to walk? Are they able to crawl? So the next slide here, we've got a couple of little mice. So I'm just going to wait for a little bit because I think the slide's a little bit slow on here. But I'm going to show you a Rett mouse and a wild type mouse. Now, wild type mouse is just a normal mouse that doesn't have Rett syndrome, and the Rett mouse is the one on the left-hand side. So hopefully you can see that it's come up now. I'm going to click both of them at the same time. So I'm going to start them both at the same time, and you should see them. No, they're not going. Let's have a look. Oh, yeah, here they go. So hopefully you can see them walking. It might be a little bit of delay. Let me see. I'm just watching the. Here we go. Okay. So you'll see them walking along, and the Rett mouse, he lasts about 20, 30 seconds, and he falls off. He just can't hold on. He's got coordination problems. And the wild type mouse will just do this for hours and hours on end. And that's really one of the tests we do. So once the mouse gets injected with the MECP2 gene, we then, then we'll be able to see him activate and look like the wild type mouse. Now, they're obviously a little test that they do, very interesting. I've actually been into the lab and met the mouse, or met the mice. And when I met a mouse with Rett syndrome, I cried. I was like, oh my God, this is a mouse that's got Rett syndrome who's doing all this testing for my daughter. It was, yeah, a very, very moving environment. But yeah, it's obviously works well with the mice, but we need to put that into humans. So that's really what we're working on at the moment. The next slide here, we've got just a little bit of understanding on our support for funding, because the funding is expensive. 2 PhD students, they apply for PhDs. The university will fund some of it. We will fund some of it, and we have to support them, plus all the equipment and all the liquids and all the petri dishes and scientific equipment that they do, and it's very, very expensive. So this is just a few things that the funding has supported in the last year. So we've had 2 new PhD students. We've got some skin cell collection and conversion to stem cells. So we did 3 lines in 2021, which is my daughter's, and then we've got another 12 lines that we've sent to the US this year in 2022. They're about $10,000 per line, very expensive. Stem cell conversion into neurons and brain organoids. It's quite a lot of work involved with that. And then production of the test mice cells and stem cells. This is our progression on personnel in the lab. So when I first met Wendy back in 2017, she had her and 1 PhD student. 2019, we were able to raise a bit of money and get a small grant, and we were able to produce, I would get a couple more people in the lab. We ended up having 5. 2020, we obviously got an extra person. And then 2021, we got some big funding in from one of my corporate donors, and we were able to raise some grants as well, which has been great. And then this year we're up to 13 staff in the lab. Now the lab has to have people. It has to have chemicals and mice, and each mice costs so much money per year to live in the lab. So it's a quite expensive process. So yeah, this is really, really important. We probably won't need a huge amount more personnel or staff, but we definitely need a lot more money for some of the research that we're doing. The grants that we've got now, this is the problem with the grants, is that the difference between philanthropic funding, which is what we're doing today, where we're raising, say, $5 grand or 10 grand, we can use that money for anything. The grants are very, very specific, and these grants that we received back in 2021, they pay for some salaries, but they're very specific, and there's a lot of work involved with Wendy and her team to actually report back to the NRMHC, which is National Health and Medical Research Council, the Luminescence Alliance. So the grants, yes, while they sound like a lot of money, are actually very expensive. They only fund 75% of the employee's salary, so we still have to top it up with another 25%. So yes, we've got 11 or 13 in the lab, but we still have a lot of funding to find. So it's very expensive. Now that was 2021. We've just received this grant in 2022, which is a drug discovery. So we haven't employed anyone for this one yet. We're going to probably employ a couple of people for this. And then we also got another biomarker study here as well. So it's been very, very successful in the last couple of years. But one of the biggest things that we do is we have to report a lot of this information. So we actually have a lot of administration now, which is actually very expensive. Obviously it's not free to just have someone administrating this stuff and writing reports and doing a lot of stuff. So yeah, even though it's growing exponentially, we've got a lot of money, there's a lot more money getting taken away in administration costs, which is not great. The next slide, very quickly, I know I've only got a few minutes left. This is what the NRC has supported: post-structure equipment, mouse studies, DNA therapy. The biomarker studies have been, again, funding research assistance, biomarkers, and international biomarker screening. And this actually is the funding gap for this year. So I sort of skipped through these slides pretty quickly, but this really is the most important part. Dre reached out to me and said he wanted to do a fundraising activity. And I absolutely thank you so much for doing it. But we need $140,000 this year. The gap in the funding is massive. Now, if we can raise $6 grand or $3 grand or whatever from this event, there's another event that's 10 grand or whatever like that. There's a lot of events to get to that sort of 140K. Now, sometimes we get some really generous donors who come in and pump up the money a bit, but it's expensive. And so yeah, hats off to Dre for organising this event. And yeah, it's a weekend and everyone's put in their time, and a lot of coaches obviously have come in and enjoyed it and learned a lot. But yeah, thank you very much, Dre, for that. I really appreciate you doing it. That is the end of all the slides, so we can drop back now and talk to Dre and have any questions that you need to answer. So I will just end the slide sharing there.
Mate, yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, there's some cool stuff there. There is, man, a lot of money. $30,000 for a mouse for a year.
Well, yeah, they're not one mouse; it's multiples of mice. But
yeah,
that we need to look after. I think we've got 250 mice in the lab, but they're all on different testing processes, and some of the there for a little bit. Yeah, it's expensive, but anyway, every little bit counts, right? It's $3,000, $4,000, $5,000. It's so important, that we carry it on going. So, and yeah, Paul's just said they're loving the application as well. Yeah.
Okay, we're saying, wow. Do you guys have any questions? About 9 minutes until we get Heidi out.
I'll just talk to about. Can you hear me, Dre? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Paul just mentioned there that yes, once we cure Rett syndrome, we're actually going to be in a really good position to be able to cure other conditions. So Paul's daughter has Angelman syndrome, and they're doing research on that as well. But once one of them gets cured via CRISPR and we're able to fix it, it opens the door to all the other conditions as well. Because once you've done it once in a human, then it works, and you can carry on the same sort of testing regime. So it's very exciting, and I think there's 7,800 something genetic conditions for children and people globally. So there's a lot, right? And so that it just opens up the world. And not everyone will be able to be cured the same way, but a majority of them will have at least a starting point to go through.
Yeah. Who are your biggest contributors or donors? Is it the corporate companies?
So yeah, my firm, actually, I can see on on the side here, Yield Broker is one of my bond trading companies that my work and my firm first sent here. So Yield Broker have given us around $360,000 over the last 4 years, and my firm have given us $100,000. So they're the big donors. Then we've done a City to Surf run. We've done lots of different sort of events. It's over $500,000. I think $570,000 in the last 4 years since I started fundraising. So, but as you can see, there are $140,000 in gap funding, and it's not easy, especially with the COVID environment. Companies don't have the money anymore. So where they were going, here's 50 grand and 20 grand and 30 grand, and they're like, oh, sorry, we're broke. We've got most cafes and restaurants in the city will shut down, and so it's very tough. So the fundraising is not easy now, and I didn't really want to have to go out and do big fun runs and bicycle rides, but that's actually the only way we're going to be able to raise the money now. It's going to be tough. So the corporates have lost a lot of money in the last few years.
And Wendy, Dr. Wendy, when is she going to be doing the putting the test in the brain and the when's that happening?
When I first met her, she said to me it would be about 10 years away before we did clinical trials. It's been 4.5 now, and we might be 3 to 5. So we've cut down from, say, a 10-year time frame maybe to a 7-year time frame. So with all the money that we've raised, she was only 2 in the lab, and but it's hard. It may never work. We may never get the opportunity to do it. We hope we can, but there's the ethics committee in Australia as well, which is very tough to deal with. They're going to say, well, should we be able to edit DNA in the brain? And one of the reasons why that's an issue is that if we edit the DNA in my brain or my body, and then I go and reproduce, and I reproduce with altered DNA in my body, what will happen in 10,000 years' time or 1,000 years' time? That's a problem, right? And the ethics committee in Australia and globally, all the ethics committees in the world go, well, yeah, should we be editing DNA in the brains? Holly's really disabled, so for her, she's not going to reproduce. So it's actually probably not a dangerous situation for her. But say a child has leukemia, and it can be, and it's a genetic condition, and it can be cured by genetically altering the DNA in the body. Should that child be able to reproduce? And that's the ethics committee's decision whether it will be able to or not. And it's a tough decision to make. So we still have to get through that. We still haven't got through that process as well. We obviously started that process talking to them, but it's not going to be easy because there was a Chinese man who took a gene out that causes HIV, and he took that out in 2020, I think. They had these two twins born. They didn't have this gene. They'll never get HIV, but they're probably going to have a million other diseases and problems because their body's been altered. And he's gone to jail for 25 years. So, you know,
whoa.
Yeah, so he got caught, and yeah, so we're not supposed to be doing editing DNA and the embryos at the moment. Editing the brain DNA will be a little bit different than embryo DNA. But if I said to you, I want a blue-eyed baby, well, you can do that. It's very simple. But should we be doing it? Should we be allowing parents to choose the color of their eyes or the muscular makeup of their bodies and stuff like that? So yeah, and it's going to explode. How it explodes is going to be up to the regulators in each country. So.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thank you, Brett. All right, a couple more minutes. Does anyone have any other questions? So we've got Facebook user. This is super informative, Brett. Thanks for showing us this. All right. Brett, is there anything else that you'd like to add?
I just really want to say a big thanks, mate. Honestly, I know we're in a world where there's a lot of giving, but this is massive. And me and Paul had a good chat about it yesterday. I think and it's just thank you so much from the bottom of our hearts. We really appreciate it. I mean, your birthday is the day you should be relaxing, eating cake, and here you are at 6 a.m. in the morning through to 10 p.m. at night or whatever, doing this. And it's not just one day; you've done for 3 days. And just hats off to you. You're an amazing guy, and I think everyone appreciates you as a friend. You're reaching out to different people. The other day, I was chatting to someone that's like, "Oh yeah, Dre reached out to me. Are you okay? What's going on?" You're just a lovely guy, and I really, really appreciate it. I do appreciate everyone for donating as well. We're up to $5,920. So we've beaten our goal of 5,000. Almost got another grand on top, which is amazing. So half the money will go to Paul Yeo's Angelman syndrome. And half will go to Rett Syndrome. Right. So yeah, it's pretty cool. We're very, very pleased and happy about that. So thank you very much. Really appreciate that. Thanks.
Oh, you are so welcome. So like Aisha that was on earlier, she got a cake sent to my house, which was which was really nice. And I've basically had half the cake. So that's basically been my lunch and dinner. I was just like, so it's you guys are welcome. So I love doing stuff like this, and I've done 107 podcasts in like 24 hours, like back in October. So I just love that. To me, it just seems like it's a win-win-win for everybody. Like the coaches have got a platform to do what they do best, like their skills and knowledge. And I've learned so much about lots of different things, which has been really cool.
Really, really amazing. I've already picked up 2 people that are doing grants today. Like there's 2 people. And now I'm reached out to them, and I'll be able to apply for some different grants. I was like, this is cool. This is actually exactly what I want.
Yeah.
And and it's amazing. Like some of the coaches came on. We had obviously I can't remember her name, but she was talking about her cats and talking to animals, and I was like, wow, this is amazing. They've got some really diverse.
Any book? Yeah.
That's great. Yeah. I'm going to leave you with a dad joke. Everyone brings a dad joke. So, and I've already told you this one. You've already heard this one, but it hasn't been published. So, so my daughter Emily, she's only young, and she came up to me the other day and she said, "Dad, what does sex mean?" I'm like, "Oh man, I didn't think this was going to be coming up at this age." "Oh no, really?" So I explained to her the whole pros and the birds and the bees and went through the whole thing. She's like, "Wow, Dad, that's really amazing." I said, what sparked your interest? Why do you want to know about sex? She goes, "Oh, because Mummy told me that dinner will be ready in 2 secs." All right, okay.
Yeah. I love that. All right, you're coming back at, was it 7 o'clock?
Yeah, 7 o'clock. I'll be back at 7.
7 o'clock.
All right, mate. Well, thank you. Really appreciate it, and chat soon.
Yeah, appreciate you. All right, I'll see you soon. I'll see you in a couple of hours. All right. Now we have. All right. All right. Next up, we've got Heidi Maddie. She's been waiting patiently. I'm going to get that out straight away. Let's give a big warm welcome to Heidi.
Hello.
How are you?
How are you doing? Can you hear me? Can you see me okay?
Yeah, loud and clear, loud and clear. So, yeah, how are you?
Fantastic. I am great.
Excellent.
Thank you. Thank you for having me here. Dre, happy birthday. And wow, how incredible are not only you, Dre, for putting this on, but everybody else who has presented. It's been absolutely amazing. So well done to you for putting this on, and well done to everybody else. It's just been incredible 3 days.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited. So last time I saw you speak, I think everyone in the room was like mesmerized. And then I think at boot camp as well, Richmond played like a video, and like everyone was just like, so yeah, I'm excited. And you're going to be speaking about was it fun, business, fun? What was your topic again? It was
fun, freedom, and fearless, or the other way around, whichever way around it was that I said. It's my whole thing at the moment is, having fun in business, dealing with the fear and having that freedom. And it's a massive topic. So I'm really excited to be talking about it today.
All right, I'm going to leave you to it, and I'm going to get my notepad and pen because you've been killing it, absolutely killing it. So I'll see you in about 20 minutes-ish.
Awesome.
Oh, shit. I keep doing that.
And over to you, Dre. Okay. Hello, everybody. And how amazing is it to be here? So in case you don't know me, my name is HEIDI MADDY. I am a business coach for women. And at the moment, I am working with women who are close to burning out because they have been doing the hustle and grind, and they're just getting burnt out, and they're wondering, is this for me? Is business really, really for me? Because if this is what it is, I don't know if I can keep doing it. And so I want to share with you the reason why I wanted to talk about this today is it's not just women who suffer with this, although I am a women's coach, but men also suffer with this too. And it's such an important topic. And so I want to tell you a little bit about me and why this is so important. So I started out my business as a therapist quite some time ago now. And when I started out in business, I didn't know anything at all. I didn't know how to get clients. I didn't know how to market myself. I didn't know anything. And I spent 6 months before qualifying as a therapist trying to learn business. I spent 6 months trying to learn. Instead of focusing on all of my final assignments and exams, I was all about the business. And I absolutely loved it. Fast forward, I had great success in my therapy business, and I was charging a lot more than all of my colleagues. I was never running out of clients. There were always people coming to me. And so many of my colleagues kept coming to me saying, HEIDI, how are you doing it? How are you charging so much? How are you never running out of clients? Can you help me with my business? And over time, more and more of my colleagues asked me, HEIDI, how are you doing it? And I got into just helping them out for free, just helping out friends, just showing them where they can tweak things. And what I realized through that journey was that actually helping people with their businesses is what lights me up. It's what I'm passionate about. It's what excites me. It's what makes me happy. What's better than doing your dream? That's the only thing that you do is your dream. How amazing is that? Not having to work the side hustle, which I used to do. Being able to give that up and be full-time in your coaching business is a dream come true, or it certainly was for me. And I know it will be for a lot of you that maybe aren't there yet. But on that journey, I burnt out. I burnt out because I didn't know what I was doing, and I burnt out doing all the things. I was still working my day job. I was finishing up my degree. I was building my business, and I burnt out hard. And I came back from that and I was like, oh, there's got to be a better way. I'm doing all these things. There's got to be a better way. But it all settled down and everything was fine. And then, as I said, I pivoted into coaching. The first 3 months of my coaching business, I made about 5K in total. Why? Because I was dabbling. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't really trust what I was doing. I knew that I was getting results, or that I had got results in my therapy business. And I knew that the women I was helping in their businesses were also getting results. But because I didn't have that mentor, that coach, someone to say to me, yep, You're doing great. Keep doing what you're doing. I kept doubting myself. And so my results were up and down. So the first 3 months were about 5K. The 4th month, I made 5K in that entire month. The 5th month, I made 10K. And in my first 12 months of my business coaching, I made multiple 6 figures in sales. Now, it wasn't easy. And this is what I'm here to talk to you about. It wasn't easy. I was hustling. I was grinding. I was doing things that intuitively didn't feel good. But I was like, oh, you know what? This is what I'm being taught to do. This is what I have been told. This is how business works. This is how you get business. You do all of these things. You work all of these hours. You keep forcing, you keep hustling, you keep grinding, you keep pushing. Oh. And I don't know if anyone else has experienced this or is currently going through it. I mean, do let me know in the comments if this is resonating right now, if you've been through this, if you feel that you are currently going through this in your business and you're like, oh my God, is this it? Because let me tell you that when I was going through that, I did start questioning, if this is business, I don't know if I can do it. Oh my God, I was heartbroken. I was heartbroken. I was distraught having that thought. I can't do my dream. I can't do my dream because what I'm doing doesn't feel good. So the multiple 6-figure business came at a cost. I went against my values. I went against my better judgment. I stopped having fun. I stopped feeling excited about my business. I stopped listening to myself. So I went through a particularly hard hustle and grind. I went through this really intense period. And I came out of that. I thought, right, I need to take a step back. I need to reflect on what's going on, what's not working. And I decided to drop everything that didn't feel good. Oh my God, the fear. What if I do this and I don't get any more clients? What if I do this and I lose my business? What if I do this and it just doesn't work? Oh, that fear. And I don't know if anyone else has had that fear. If that fear talks to you in your mind, oh no, don't do that. Oh no, you've been told to do this. Don't do that. Don't do the thing that feels good. Do the thing that you've been told to do, even though it doesn't feel good, because that's the way. I realized that I wasn't aligned. The stress, the pressure, it had overwhelmed me so much. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? No. No is the answer. It wasn't worth it. It wasn't worth doing business in that way. Here's the thing. As a woman in business, I was following a very masculine strategy. And in the beginning, it was okay because I was like, well, I have quite masculine energy anyway. I'm a single mom. For those of you who don't know, single mom, always had to work hard, grind my entire life. Everything was masculine. And I was like, oh, well, I'm just masculine, so this is fine. It wasn't. Now, don't get me wrong. The strategy works. Obviously, I made multiple 6 figures in my business in the first 12 months. So the strategy works, and I'm not knocking it. But what I'm saying to you is that there is another way. That if this is you going through this right now, there is another way. You get to have fun in your business. You get to feel excited. You get to not do the things that don't feel good to you. So I faced fear again. Am I really going to step away from this? Am I really going to listen to my intuition that I've been ignoring for quite some time? Oh my God. The fear was incredible. The fear was incredible. But here's the thing, when it comes to fear, we need it. I see fear as showing me what it is that I desire. That thing that I'm scared of is the thing that I really desire. It is showing me what I want. That's not something to be scared of. That's something to chase after. That's something to work with. So instead of being scared of fear, instead of avoiding it, I made fear my friend. I said, hey, come sit down next to me. Come show me what it is, my secret desires. And let's work together to make something magical happen. So I realigned. I only did what felt fun in business. I let go of everything that didn't feel good. I came from this place of fun. I got back to feeling like me. And it was noticed. I started getting messages from women saying, Heidi, what is going on? Something's changed. Like, I don't know what it is, but something has changed and I absolutely love it. I am absolutely loving this. Can you show me how to do it too? I was like, oh yeah, of course I can. And then the strangest thing happened. Women started messaging me saying, Heidi, I'm close to burnout. I think I want to give up my business. Like, help me. What do I do? Is this me? Am I just self-sabotaging myself? Am I just procrastinating? Am I just delusional? Do I just need to suck it up and get on with it? Please tell me that there's a better way. There is. If this is what you are feeling, and by the way, not everyone here is going to be feeling that, because the masculine strategy and the other strategies work for you. But right now I'm talking to the people who it's not working for. There is another way. Because the truth is this: by letting go of what didn't feel good, by making fear my friend, by doing what only felt fun, I freed myself. I freed myself from the hustle and grind. I freed myself from burnout. I freed myself from anything that went against my values. And I became fun, free, and fearless in business. And I'm here to tell you today that you can too. So I want you to take a moment right now. Just close your eyes and really go inside, go look internally and ask yourself, where am I not having fun? Where am I not having fun? What doesn't feel good to me? Where am I scared? Where is that fear talking to me? And I want you to use that fear as your compass to guide you to your desires, because you can have them. I want you to use those things, listen to your inner intuition and say, no, this doesn't feel good. I can let go of that. I want you to look at your offers. I want you to look at what you're doing. I want you to look at your content. I want you to look at absolutely everything that you do and ask yourself, do I have fun doing this? Is this fun? Because let me tell you, every day I wake up and I have fun. Because my creativity has once again been unleashed. I have all of these downloads all of the time about offers I want to do, things I want to do, content I want to create, graphics I want to create. It all just flows out of me and it is the best thing ever. And I get excited. For those of you who don't know me, I'm like a puppy. I get really excited when I'm doing something that feels good, when I'm having fun. I get so excited. So if you're not feeling that way right now, if you're in this place of fear and scared and scarcity and lack and, oh my God, I just need to keep doing, I just need to keep pushing myself and forcing myself and convincing myself and others that this is the work I need to do, and it's not you, consider this permission to stop. Consider this an invitation to start having fun. Consider this an invitation to get excited about everything. And if you really are close to burnout, my top tip for you right now, if you are really on the edge, is to stop everything that feels bad and spend at least 1 week, better if it's 2, just having fun in your business. Only do what feels fun, and that burnout is going to start reducing. So this is it from me. This is what I wanted to talk to you about. I am so passionate about this subject. I am so passionate about people having fun in their business, in case you couldn't tell. I do lots of fun things in my content. I do lots of fun things. If you haven't seen, I can get a little bit crazy. I just like to have fun. I don't mind taking the piss out of myself. I don't mind laughing at myself. It's just my sense of humor. And so I encourage you to step outside of that fear. Show up as you. Show up as the fun, free, fearless you. And watch this space. Dre, I'm calling you back.
All right, somebody call the fire brigade, because you were on fire, absolutely on fire. That was HEIDI. Yeah, that was phenomenal. That was awesome. Ladies and gents, if you've got any questions for HEIDI, drop them in the chat screen. And HEIDI, I've got a question for you. So in your business, what were the things that the things you didn't enjoy that you got rid of?
The
Like
things
chat
that,
sequencing?
Maybe it was chat sequencing. Yeah, that was absolutely one thing that I did drop. Anything that I considered cold outreach, because I don't like cold outreach. What I've done is I've gone over to this way of, okay, let me tell you what I dropped. I dropped cold outreach. I wasn't really doing cold outreach, but cold DMs, like when nobody's asked me for what, they're not coming to me. I'm offering them stuff. Gone.
Yeah.
I dropped sales calls. They weren't fun. I dropped the whole strategy that I was using. And now I use what's called a diversified offer suite. So I offer lots of different things, lots of different levels. I'm a multi-passionate person. And so kind of hemming me into just offering 1 or 2 things at a time doesn't work for me. So I dropped all of that. I dropped this image of who I needed to be, of who I needed to show up as. Like I was only showing up as like half of me.
Yeah.
Not the other half of me. I wasn't showing up as like the rainbows and glitter and, the unicorn. I wasn't showing up as that person, So I've merged all of that into one thing, and that's what's coming out. And so I got back into creating my own graphics again, which I haven't done in a very long time. And
you enjoy it?
And they are just bright and like they're just like party. Everything's just a party now.
Yeah. I love creating like own graphics and everything. Sorry, that's the wrong one. Talk to us about your creative side. So are you like, where else are you creative in your business? So with like the content that you're putting out there, because you were mentioning that you're having fun and you're doing, I guess, being you or being silly or.
Yeah. So at the moment, so as I said, it's all of the graphics for my offers that I'm currently. So when you see somebody launch a program or a course or an offer and they have their graphics. For those of you who don't know, I am quite technologically minded. So I'm trained in IT. I used to do websites, freelance, all of that. Used to taught myself coding. So back in my 20s, that was my hobby, and that's what I did. And so I've got back into Photoshop because I stopped using it for a long time, because where I was so stressed and just kind of, okay, I've just got to hit these things every single day, and that's all I can do. I didn't have any space to be creative. And one of the things that we need is to allow that creativity, especially as a woman in business. We have this creative side, And if we're not allowing that to breathe, if we're not allowing that free, we can feel very heavy in ourselves. And, you know, creativity in whatever way that looks. For some people, it's content. For some people, it might be graphics. For some people, it might be their videos. For some people, it might be their pictures. It might be their offers. It might be whatever that looks like. As I said, I'm a very multi-passionate person. So mine is across the board.
I love that. And then can you talk to us about how your brand has evolved from like when you started coaching to what it is, now? Because
Yeah,
I've been on your
absolutely.
Facebook. I love your love
Yeah.
and everything. Yeah.
So originally I only worked with therapists because I was a therapist and I understood that world of therapists very, very well. I'd already been helping other therapists to build up their practices. And obviously when you work in that, especially as a counselor, psychotherapist, things like that, you have certain restrictions on you about what you can post and what you share and how you do things. It's all very heavily regulated and restricted. And so what I was finding was that it was great to do that stuff, but there were so many restrictions and that there was a lot of mindset stuff. Obviously, I can say this because I was one, but there's a lot of mindset stuff that comes along with people who call themselves therapists. And it's a lot of limiting beliefs that they have. And a lot of time I find that people who are they want to do such a good job, they want to do so well in helping others that they hold themselves back because they don't want to go wrong, or they don't want to say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing. They're scared of putting themselves out there, and they find that they're actually sabotaging themselves. So I worked with therapists, and that was both men and women. And then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna work with women. I'm just gonna work with female coaches because, sorry guys, but you've got plenty of resources available. You don't need somebody else. I'm just going to work with women. This is where I'm passionate about, you know, from my own life and having my own struggles. I was so passionate about empowering women to show them their own power, to release that power within themselves, that they can then go out there and smash business and create that financial freedom that they're looking for, especially around if they had kids, or, you know, they are single moms or whatever it is, or doing it around work, that actually as women, we get to do those things. We do get to do those things. And sometimes it just takes somebody to show you the way. And so that was where I wanted to go. And then, as I said, this is a pivoting now into helping women have more fun in their business. It's not just about the fun, it's about reducing the time, because I was working at one point anywhere between 12 and 17 hours a day. Why? It's not necessary. It's not necessary to do that in business. And people aren't having fun. They just feel like they're just grinding. They're just doing the step by step by step by step. And you're missing it. You're missing the picture. We get to do this. We get to have a business. We get to have fun. We get to work the hours that we set. We get to make as much money as we want to make. Yeah. That's when I want to show women what's possible.
A couple more questions before we go, because I can see Carmen in the background. Right, so you took part in Hurt Locker. You were the winner of Hurt Locker. So for anyone that doesn't know, that's watching or that's listening later or watching the replay, Hurt Locker was it over 90 days? So you guys had a target
days.
that you were 100 days. So you're going to hit a certain amount of money in 100 days. You won that. You completely. I think you've got you used to have the record after.
I used to have the record.
So Terry's just beaten that. And I remember, like, the last time I saw you speak, like, you mentioned that you were sort of going along, something happened, and then I think something clicked and you just skyrocketed. I don't know, was it self-belief? What was it that clicked? And
it was.
What was it that changed for you?
Yeah, it was that self-belief. It always is. It comes down to everything. Your success is completely tied in with the belief of whether it is available to you or not. Now, here's the thing, is that I believe that I could be a six-figure coach. I believe that. And I've gone through this again where, you know, it's like, I believe I can reach a certain amount You know, I don't want 6 figures in a year. I want 6 figures in a month. You know, that's what I'm aiming for. This is my next big goal. But there was something about, yeah, I want it. I believe I can have it. But do I believe that I'm ready for it right now? The answer at the time was no. The answer at the time was no. I wanted it. I was excited. I was passionate. Like, yes, this is it. But underneath all of that, I wasn't actually ready. I am now,
How did you get
of course,
ready?
because I did the work.
How did you get ready? Was it just a decision? You were like, okay, it's my time. I'm ready.
It was an uncovering. It was a process. It was definitely a process of uncovering and digging down and reflecting and looking at everything that happened, and what was going on, what felt unsafe about it, because that's the bigger piece. Yes, if you have this goal, it's, well, what are my fears? Again, coming back to that fear, what are my fears around this? What comes up for me when I think about having this for myself? And usually when it comes to money, a lot of people have fear either that they're going to lose it, or that mine was that somebody would take it from me. People are fearful of paying big tax bills, you know, all the sorts of different fears. And actually, when you're making that much money, how amazing is that? I'm making so much money that I'm getting this huge tax bill. And yeah, I can just pay that. Just one payment. There you go. No problems. Not a problem. I get to give back, you know, with great causes like this. You know what? This is the 5K that you want. I'll double it for you. You know what I mean? You're free then to do all of this stuff that you weren't free to do before. And I'll take that any day over sitting here small going, oh, what if somebody takes my money from me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Yeah. All right. What's the best way for people to get hold of you?
Yeah. So either on Facebook or on my Instagram, just send me a DM. I do have an offer. I've got 10 spots. So I actually have, I've got my boot camp coming up next weekend, Saturday next week. This is for ladies only. I'm afraid any guys who are interested, it is for ladies only. Sorry, Dre. So it is my free and fearless boot camp. So you can see there's a bit of a theme going on here. And so I am offering 10 spots for free. So it's the first 10 people who message me for one of those spots. I will send you a special link so you can come to that boot camp for free. It's next Saturday. If you're in Oz, it probably will be a little bit late for you because I'm in the UK. So it will be kind of more European time. If you're in America and places like that, it'll be fine. It will be your morning. So 10 spots for free. All you have to do is send me a DM. Let me know you want one of those spots and I will send you the link to register.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And final words. So do you have like maybe a quote, something inspirational, something motivational, something empowering, or my favorite, a dad joke to finish on?
Okay. So I kind of missed out on the dad joke thing. So I wasn't prepared for that. And then as I was watching, I was like, oh, okay, dad jokes are a thing. And I don't really do that. Like, I'm not that kind of funny, you know, I'm sort of deep, dark funny, you know, I'm not like dad joke funny. So what I will leave you with is make fear your friend and go do it anyway.
Can you say that one more time? I just want that to marinate and simmer before you go.
Yes. Make fear your friend and go do it anyway.
Heidi, thank you so much for coming on, like sharing your value, that offer as well. I reckon maybe you should do it for men so I can go. But anyway, you are amazing. And like when I caught up with you last time, how sort of like open you were and like the advice and the guidance that you gave me means a lot. And like for saying yes, for giving up your time, you are just, yeah, sensational. So I've got so much love for you. And enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Will do. Thank you so much for having me, Dre.
You're welcome. All right.
Bye.
All right. That was Heidi, Maddie, and next up, right on time, we've got the one, the only, Carmen Loshane.
Hello there. How are you doing, Dre?
Hey, I am amazing, absolutely amazing, incredible. How are you?
I'm well. Happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. I thought everyone had
Yeah.
forgot, but
What
they
a
haven't. They remembered.
celebration.
I know. It's been awesome. I
Celebration the
feel,
whole weekend.
yeah, I feel very lucky with just like the amount of like value that the coaches like have given. And it's just been
Yeah.
incredible. We've raised a little bit of money, and
Yeah.
yeah,
Well done.
it's been awesome. Yeah. All right. So, what are you going to be talking to us about today?
Hey, Paul. I see you said hey, hey.
Yeah.
Yeah, just thanks for the opportunity, Dre. I think such a great initiative. And I'm always looking to contribute to some cause or other. So I'm just so excited and pumped to be alongside all of your amazing coaches. Um, yeah, so today I really just want to share a little bit of my experience, and also just to share a few tips on, how to really walk in your truth.
I love that. All right, Carmen, I'm going to
Yeah,
leave you to it, and I'll be back in probably about 20 minutes.
yeah,
See you soon.
yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Thank you. Great. So just welcome to all of you watching. I'm sure you all can appreciate all of the value that's been shared over this weekend. I know I'm definitely coming back for some of the replays. So much gold being dropped all over the show. So today I just want to share a little bit around walking in your truth and what that means for me and what it could potentially mean for you. And just by means of an intro, so I'm Carmen. I'm all the way from Cape Town in South Africa. You can hear the accent. Hope you all understand me well enough. I'll go slow. And I'm a mindset and performance coach for professionals, helping them overcome stress and anxiety, and more seriously, burnout, and helping them find a way to balance the joy again in their career and personal lives. So, just a little bit of my own, career trajectory or background. I've worked since I was 16. I think as soon as I was legal, it was legal for me to go and work. I had a side job, a weekend job while I was still at school. And I don't come from a very wealthy family. So at a very young age already, I learned that working hard is the only way to be successful. And I'm sure many of you can relate to that. We're told from a very young age, you got to work hard, you got to reach the top, climb the ladder, especially when you come from a family that, there are no real opportunities for you to just go out and enjoy life. The real opportunity lies in, you know, climbing that career ladder and going out there, making a name for yourself. So I started my career out as a trauma counselor. And I'm so grateful for that massive experience, being a part of my clients' inner world. That for me was a massive, massive privilege. But as I learned, after a few years of hard work, being in my client's internal world day to day, hour to hour, I burnt myself to the ground. I really constantly had, my clients' lives, their experiences, their pain swimming around in my mind. And so I think it was after about 3 years or so, I actually took a break from doing trauma work. Um, I always knew deep down, though, that helping others was really my calling or purpose, if you want to call it that. Um, but I just really felt like I needed a break from the heaviness of doing trauma work. I worked with victims of trauma and torture. And it was a very long healing journey for many of them, which was, and as I said, an absolute privilege. However, the work also got a little bit heavy at some point, and I burnt myself to the ground. So I ventured into nonprofits and government departments doing work with them for about five or 6 years, and gained lots of experience again from different sectors in the working world. So I come from an NGO space, and slowly started moving into government departments, understanding how those departments works, how decisions are made, sitting in parliament, presenting in parliament, managing a team, and really just got that all-round experience. And then later on, I moved into the corporate space, into very fast, startup space, and then after that into a very large corporate. And it's been such a lovely journey to have been exposed to all of those different environments, all of those different cultures. And I've really learned so much about business. But more importantly, so I'm all about people, right? And more importantly, I got to learn about the people in business. I would sit there and I'd observe. And this journey has really yielded so much growth personally for me as well on my own journey through all of those different sectors. So now imagine being in a large corporate, sitting in boardrooms, and more recently sitting in Zoom rooms, and just observing people, understanding how they function, what makes them tick, and also understanding at a deeper level what's really happening in their internal world and how that shows up in the boardroom, in the corporate space, in the decisions that they make. And then the most exciting part for me, working with people sitting in these boardrooms, sitting in these corporate spaces, is really having a glimpse of the true potential of every single person there. And that's kind of the goal that I always, strive to elicit from conversations with people in corporate. It really was like my fun, joyful time to really understand people's potential. And so the lessons along the way have really been invaluable. But it always came back to me. And the question I found, the question I asked myself over and over in those spaces is, how am I best positioned with my potential to best serve the people around me with what I have? Now, in most businesses, we find that employees are driven by performance. It's all about your performance ratings, meeting your objectives. And then alongside all of that, it's all about those big fat paychecks, those big bonuses, shares. It's all about the money. And I observe this, and yes, people enjoy the work that they do and they're really good at it. But at the same time, with, the system and the performance systems in place, they really work themselves to the bone. So I was there too, right? Achieving my objectives, week in and week out, pushing that needle, going that extra mile. And of course, getting recognition. That's what, companies do. They recognize those with good or great performance, high ratings. And I had all of that, the recognition. I was there achieving my objectives, pushing that needle, pushing the team. But I felt empty. I actually felt empty. And add to that, working day in and day out, 9 to 5, sometimes 9 to 9, who knows? You never know in corporate, like the work just continues. There's always something more to do. I had no life. I had no social life. My family hardly ever spent time with me. So I was either busy or in a meeting or tired and miserable because of it. And so that was my life for a long time. Now, don't get me wrong. I love my job. I love the company. I love the people. I love the culture. But I still wasn't happy. Like, it wasn't enough. Ever had that feeling? Everything's going right, but it's just not enough. It's not like that inner happiness is just not coming. It's not happening. Sorry, just give me a minute. And then I realized it's 15 years later. I'd left the job that I loved, working with people, seeing them heal. And I realized that I'd left my true calling. I'd left my core purpose. And slowly over time, my career was bleeding a slow death. And I was doing very little to nothing of the things that I really, really loved. So there I was, feeling unbalanced, feeling unfulfilled, and unhappy. So what I did was I started to explore a little bit more. I took myself on a journey of finding the balance again, of finding the joy again. And yes, it was scary. Moving away from being, a highly valued professional into unfamiliar territory where I had to learn, I had to relearn, I had to fail, I had to start over again, I had to rebuild. But honestly, the journey's been nothing short of amazing. It's been filled with moments of joy. It's been filled with moments of fulfillment. And most importantly, it's been freeing. And it's been a process of me slowly again rebuilding, failing, falling down, picking myself back up, and walking in my truth, which I knew was always to help people to heal, to help them reach their full potential. And so today, as a coach, I work with professionals, guiding them into walking into their own truth. And what is walking in your truth? What is that? I get that question a lot. I get clients who ask, what even is my truth? How do I know what's my truth? And more importantly, how do I find my truth? If I don't know what it is, how do I find that? And so today I'm just going to share with you very quickly 3 things that you can do to begin that journey, finding your truth, walking in it, and fully owning it. And so I always start with, the analogy of an aeroplane. An aeroplane, before it takes off, it needs to go along the runway. And then once, it has gone along the runway, it takes off. There's liftoff, right? And there's also a large amount of carbon emission that happens along the way. And then eventually, after it's liftoff and after it's reached its altitude, there's this big, open, fluffy, cloudy white space. And so that's often the analogy I use. And so the first thing we can do in beginning to walk in our truth is to clear the runway. You see, most of what we're living is based on expectation. It's based on labels of how we've defined ourselves, which is most likely a combination of our life experiences. So I'll give you an example. So my father, hardworking man, love him to bits. He saw that I was good at maths and he said, right, you're good at maths, you're going to go study accounting, and then you're going to go make a success of your career, and that's that. So I did it, but I failed. And then I felt the shame and the guilt of being a failure. I'm not sure who of you can relate to that. And then I started over. Being an accountant obviously wasn't my truth, right? I started a job, and my very first manager, my experience there was that she kept on shutting down my ideas. And so I had to, in meetings, be quiet, take instruction, and get on with the job. And so there I had learned, and through that experience, I believed that I need to keep quiet and get on with the job, get on with the work. My ideas, my beliefs, my thoughts, my brilliance doesn't matter here. And in the next job, I was taught that you got to be the best. Like, this is a high performance environment. You got to be the best at all costs. Leave your emotions, leave your playfulness, leave your joy, leave all of that at the door. And here we get on with the work and we leave everything aside. And so there are all these expectations of who I needed to be in my career and in my professional life that were kind of like taken on by the experiences that I had along the way. And so I'm not sure how many of you can relate to that, but as we journey through life, we begin to have these expectations placed on us, and we become somebody who we think the world needs us to be. So the runway, I say, the runway of our true success and of our truth is filled with little bumps and experiences and emotions which we've collected and stored, and which now has become our truth. We've taken that on as our truth. But it's really just so far from our deepest truth. And what this causes is so much stress and anxiety, because we're operating in a way that lives up to the expectations of who we think we need to be, who we think we need to show up as along this bumpy runway. So the first thing, just to reiterate, is to take a deeper look at our runway and clear out the things that don't fit. All the things that we've taken on that aren't in our, that cause that anxiety, that cause that level of stress, because it's not who we truly want to be. But we're being that because of the expectation of others. And then the second thing we can do is we can give ourselves permission. Here we go a little deeper. We bring allowance. We put ourselves first. Often through our careers and through our family life, we're putting everyone else first. The kids, the husband, the friends, the extended family. We put their needs and their expectations first. And in this step of the process, we begin to undo that and understand that we got to give ourselves permission. We've got to allow ourselves, our true selves, to come out and play. So we bring compassion. We treat ourselves with love. We find once again what feels good to us, for us. And that can take on many different forms. It might be quiet meditation. It might be swimming in the ocean. It might be taking walks. It might be spending time with family. It might be spending time with friends. And so I'll never know what your truth is, but you'll know what feels good for you intrinsically. And those are the things we begin to explore, we begin to play around with. We also, as we give ourselves permission, we begin to unpack our shadow and we allow it to be. All the things that we feel guilty or shameful about doing, all the failures that we've experienced, we begin to allow that to be. You see, when we give ourselves permission, there is no resistance. In order for you to fly freely, you understand, as I said earlier, that there are carbon emissions, that there are repercussions, that there are consequences. You understand that and you begin to embrace that. And you do that with the greatest amount of self-love, compassion, and inner peace. The biggest lesson I think that we can learn from giving ourselves permission is that we get to remove the judgment. Going after the success and the joy you crave will only be reached when you stop the judgment. So most times, we're the first to judge ourselves, right? Before anyone else even judges us, we're already out there judging what they're going to be judging us on. And so the first step is to lose that judgment. And you know what? When you're most aligned with your truth, the judgment means nothing because your truth is only yours. It doesn't mean anything for anyone else. If they're saying anything else or reacting in any other way, it just means that it's based on their truth. So owning your truth, really owning it, the good and the bad and the consequences and the self-love, owning all of that means that you're walking in your truth, okay? And then lastly, now that you've cleared the runway, now that you've removed the judgment and you're deeply connected to your truth and the things that bring you joy, the next step is to step into the white space. As I say, as you're flying an airplane, into that cloud space. Like, who doesn't love being up in the clouds in an airplane and just dreaming? I always dream that, I can bounce from one cloud to another and just have a complete party up there. And this is what I call the white space, the dream space, where everything that you've always known, that you've always wanted and felt fulfilled by comes to life. And I encourage you, and I encourage everyone I work with to begin to live in that space. And here's why. Because when you're being in your truth, it means there is no comparison. Comparison is just a distraction, really. It's not about your truth. But being in that space, that white space, that dream space, you understand that everything that brings you joy exists now. It exists right now. Not somewhere far off in the distance, maybe someday if I'm, this or that with the other person. It exists for you right now. And you begin to accept that reality. And that all you need, you begin to accept that all you need right now is to be the person that is open to receiving all that it is that you, walking in your deepest truth, need for your success and fulfillment. I'm not sure if you pick it up what I'm putting down, but everything that you've ever dreamt of having, of being, of doing exists for you in the now. And all it takes is for you to, firstly, clear the runway, remove the judgment, and then step into the person that you need to be in order to receive exactly what it is that brings you the joy, the success, and the fulfillment that your deepest, innermost being is craving. And so when you finally embody this energy, whether it's in the boardroom or behind your desk or in your business, when you embody this energy, then you experience the joy and the freedom and the success and the balance in your day-to-day life. Isn't that wonderful? Thank you. Thanks, guys, for listening. Thanks for being here. I've really enjoyed sharing this little bit with you. Hey, Dre, you're back.
Hey, Carmen, that was awesome. That was incredible. And I heard what you're saying. Everything that we want is already here. It's already inside us.
Yeah.
It's already there.
There
Just
we
got
go.
to get out of our own way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You got it.
Awesome. All right. Yes. All right. Does anyone have any questions for Carmen? Because I know that I will. So, Carmen, this is a question that I've asked almost everybody. So, in relation to your clients or people that come and see you, what are some of those common frustrations or challenges that people have, and have you seen any sort of patterns?
Yeah. So I think the most common pattern with the clients, and I think they vary with some having very, you can't call them really symptoms, but some very mild symptoms to extreme cases. The type of clients that generally come to me are those who are stressed out day to day to some degree. That's the main one. So some are just mildly stressed and just looking to find some more time with family and friends or to start doing the things that they enjoy, to others being completely burnt out and unable to function. So I've had a few clients who actually had to stop working. One in particular, she couldn't even move. She couldn't even get out of bed because of burnout, because of living up to the expectations of her employer, of her manager, and everyone around her for years and years and years, that eventually one day her body just shut down. And so stress, and then also I see a lot of clients who manage their stress and anxiety with medication.
Okay.
And so the process that we go through really in terms of clearing the runway is to begin to minimize the impact of the stress that they experience day to day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Brilliant. Thank you. And do you have any workshops or challenges or seminars or webinars or anything coming up that people can jump into?
Yeah, at the moment, I do offer a 6-week program just to help those who feel that they're highly stressed, reaching burnout, some of them experiencing extreme anxiety. I offer a 6-week program just to help them to clear the runway. And so
Awesome.
if anyone who's listening is keen to join that program, it's a 6-week one-on-one coaching program. I do offer that. I've got 5 spots available, 5 free spots available for anyone wanting just, to come and clear that runway so that they can begin to start dreaming of that white space again. And they can find me on Facebook, my Facebook page, my personal page, and then my business page, Intellect and Soul as well.
Okay, awesome. All right, and what else was I going to say to you? I'm sure I was going to ask you one more question, but I can't think of what it was. So I'll go with I'll go with the final question. So, do you have any like dad jokes, any quotes, anything sort of like inspirational that you want to end on?
Jay, I need to explain to you, it's been a journey for me to become a fun person.
Really?
Right? But I think I'll leave you with this one thought, and I'll leave the viewers with this one thought. And it is, it's something I practice every day. It's about decide and be aware of who it is you need to be right in this moment so that you can receive everything that your most deepest, truest self needs right now.
Okay, I'm going to have to get you to say that again because that was deep. That was deep. All right, can you say that again for me one more time?
Right?
So...
Yeah. So decide and be aware of who it is you need to be right here in this moment in order for your most truest, deepest inner self to receive what it is that you need right now.
Come on, I love that. I'm going to say mic drop, but I don't want to drop it because then you won't be able to hear me. So, massive, huge thank you to you for coming on and just sharing so much value. That was awesome. And
thanks for the opportunity, Jay. It's been amazing.
Oh, you're so welcome. So welcome. And contributing and being part of the family. So love you to bits. And what time is it where you are?
Thank you. It's almost 11 a.m.
Almost 11 a.m. So you got the rest of the day. So enjoy. And we'll catch up really soon. Really appreciate it.
And the rest of the coaches coming on later this evening.
Oh, sorry, say that again. I missed that.
I'm saying all the best to you and to the rest of the coaches coming on later this evening.
Awesome. I appreciate you. Yeah, thank you.
I'm sure you're going to go out with a big bash.
Yeah. Enjoy your day, and we'll catch up really soon.
Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Dre. Bye.
Bye. All right, so that was Carmen. And now, I'm going to need to sneeze. All right, and now we are back with the main man. I know I'm going to sneeze when Brett comes out. Hey, buddy. All right, so this is investing in your future. Is that what you're going to be covering?
Yeah. So anyway, just a couple of things just to start off. This is my last session tonight. Obviously, some of these amazing coaches here, but I don't know, did anyone sing you happy birthday?
Oh, I've had a couple of messages.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Trey. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, that was good.
Thanks to Ivan and his singing classes.
It's working. Thank you.
You got
I
cakes,
appreciate you.
got someone saying happy birthday, you got lots of messages. You're good to go.
Yeah, best birthday. All right, shall I I'll leave you to it.
I need an assistant. So I just need you just on for a little bit, the first part. I'm going to share my screen. So you should be able to see my screen here. So you should be able to see my screen now coming up.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. So I just need you just for the first section, just to go through it. So just to explain myself very quickly, I am an investment coach. I work in the investment industry, and I am giving back to people to teach them how to invest and how to trade and how to do a lot of things. And I'm raising all the money. So all the money that I get from coaching goes directly to a cure for my daughter. So it's been an amazing 6 months since I started coaching, and I got a bunch of clients, and just learning how to coach and learning how to put everything together with Richmond and Tony and all the guys. But yeah, it's been pretty cool, and it's obviously a great avenue for me to be able to raise money, because I can teach people lots of things, and you know, and it's all charity based, so it's pretty cool. So what I want to do, I'm just going to do a very simple concept. Obviously, the finance world is huge. You can get PhDs and masters. There's so much stuff to do, but this is hopefully just going to explain to a few people that don't really do investing. And my clients are ones that don't invest or have never invested. And they might make a lot of money, but they don't invest the money. They spend it all. So you get a lot of people who just spend and spend and spend. So on the very first, you should see the first slide pop up here. Just understanding compounding interest. So compounding is what I'm going to be talking about today. It's just understanding the process in which assets and earnings are either from capital gains or interest are reinvested. And so they're reinvested back in again instead of taking them out and spending them, and to generate additional income over time. And compounding is the process where it keeps growing, and the interest is added on, and more interest is added on, and the principal amount obviously can grow up as well, so you can put more money in principal, but it's the interest and interest and interest on interest. And what they call it is the miracle of compounding. Now, you might listen to Warren Buffett, you might listen to some really smart guys in the world, and if you start early and you start investing early, in the long run, you'll have a lot of money. Now, it's not a get rich quick scheme like, go and buy Bitcoin and make all this money. This is about looking at the long-term goals, and when you're going to retire. Maybe you want to buy a boat, maybe you want to buy a house, and you've got, you still have to be able to get to that monetary aspect behind it. So Dre's here, and I'm going to just do a little demonstration here on what compounding works. So me and Dre are out in the golf course. Dre, can you see this slide here? It should pop up in a second. Yeah. It has holes on there, right, 1 to 6, and it's the golf holes, right? So there's 1 to 6 holes here, and me and Dre are going to play a game of golf, and we're going to play 18 holes. So what we're going to do is, for every hole that we play, we're going to do a bet, right? And whoever wins that hole gets that money. So we're going to start off with 10 cents, and then the next hole we're going to double it to 20 cents, and the next hole we're going to double it to 40 cents. We're just going to keep doubling it the whole way through. And what we're going to do by the 80th hole is that, whoever wins the 80th hole will win all the money and of that hole. But I want you, Dre, to tell me what you think the whole 18 will be. If we go from 10 cents to 20 cents to 40 cents, all the way through to 18 hole, just have a guess. Like, don't think about it too much. I mean, what do you think whole 18 will be?
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna say $100.
$100. Okay, right. So I'm gonna click the button here, and you should see some more numbers come up, right? So we've gone from 40 cents, and hole 4 is now 80 cents. So we've doubled it, and then we've gone to hole 5 is $1.60, and then at hole 6 is $3.20. So I'll give you, just have a little think about it. You want to increase it from 100 a little bit higher? You want to go a bit higher than 100?
Because I know towards the end it's gonna really.
Yeah. But so just have another guess. Have another guess now. What do you think?
So you want me to go higher?
Well, it won't be lower than 100. But have a little guess what you think it's going to be.
All right, I'll go 180.
180. Okay, so I'm going to click the button now, and I don't want you to get scared, but we've already got the 25 or hole 9. You think 100 still? 100 still? It's gone from 320 to 640. I'll give you another guess. It's a bit higher than that, a bit higher, just a bit higher than that.
I'm going to go. I'm going to go 860.
860, right. Okay, so we got to hole 12, $200. Yeah, that's good. Like, that's a good number, right? But exponentially, it grows and grows and grows. You got one more guess. I'll give you one more guess. The last click on the button will take us through to the end. Have one more guess. This is your last guess.
I'm going to go 3,600.
3,000. Okay, so we've gone from from 10 cents here already to $204. Now we're doubling, so people don't earn the sort of money, but it's just to show you an example of how much compounding does. Now this is doubling. This is not 10% on your money every year. This is just doubling. But there are things that can do this type of investment. But this is just to show you what would happen. Now I'm going to click the button now. Don't be surprised. But the number is astronomical. It's $13,107. Now, as you know there, the first two lines are pretty low, right? It doesn't grow a lot. It sort of goes along, and it looks like it's going up a lot. But you get to hole 14, it's $800, and then it goes 16, 32, 65, and then boom, it just jumps up. So it's actually this long-term curve. And what I want to talk about the next slide is just why compounding is important and why it matters. Hole 1 to 12, if you lost every one of those holes, me and you are playing a game of golf and I lose hole 1 to 12, even hole 13 and 14, if I win hole 15, 16, 17, 18, you're going to owe me a lot of money. So, having that exponential thing is really important, but it's actually at the end of the curve. And what I'm going to explain to you is how compounding works and why it's so important that you start early. So if you're 42 years old and you live to the age of 90 and you haven't got much superannuation, you haven't got much investments, you still have a lot of time behind you. But if you keep waiting another 5 years, another 10 years, you're going to miss out, right? And so what I'm going to show you in all the charts, I'm going to show you in the next few slides, is really, if you're not investing today, you should be investing. Whatever money you get, if you get a $200,000 or $100,000, you should be taking money away and putting it away, either into superannuation or other investments and property. There's a million investments under there, but this is just hopefully going to show people just how compounding works and how important it is to get going earlier on in their careers. Okay, so you can jump off now and I'll catch you in about 20 minutes.
Mate, that was really powerful. Thank you.
Okay, so next slide we're coming up. That is just the compounding over the 18 holes. So as you can see there, not much happens up until about hole 14 or 15, and then it just skyrockets all the way up to that $13,000 mark. And that's really the most important thing about compounding, is it doesn't really occur very early on in the investment process. It happens much later on in the investment process. So what we're going to do now, as you can see there, the growth occurs very late. The slides are a little bit slow, so I'm just going to wait till they populate on the page. 2 seconds. So you can see that real growth there occurring very, very late in the piece. So as an example, and this is just a common example in Australia, in the US, obviously you've got big universities and stuff, but children in Australia, they either go to a public school or they go to a private school, and the private schools can cost anywhere between about $5,000 or $6,000 a year for some of the primary schools, up to sort of 20, 30, 40 grand. And Sydney Grammar in Sydney, it's $42,000 a year. Now that's a lot of money to be sending a child to university, so to a high school or to a primary school. And so what I'm going to show you is just an example of, you want the best for your children. And, this example has been done many times over in the US and Australia. I've seen it quite a few different places, but it really shows you what could happen if you took the money that you were going to give to your children and every year they went to school, and instead of sending them to a private school, you send them to a public school, as an example. So we take the child, instead of sending them to a private school, we send them to a public school, and we take the money that we would have invested in their education in a private school and we put it into an index trading fund. Now, an index fund might return 10%, 8%, 6%. I don't know. They go around, but properties go up by about 7 or 8% a year. The equity market goes up by 7 or 8% a year. Some investment funds or index funds can go up by 8 or 10%. The S&P 500 in the US has done 10% on average since 1957. So I'm going to take the number as 10%. I'm going to take a couple off for inflation, which is say 2% for inflation. And we're going to do this example. Now, at the moment, inflation is growing. It's like 3, 4, 5. They're talking it might get to 7 or 8%, but I'm doing it over the average over a very long period of time, and things change. So obviously, these are just numbers for an example. But if you took your child's education at year 1 or kindergarten, I'm just doing year 1 here to start it off, and it cost $20,000. So not $42,000, not $5,000, but $20,000, middle of the road for the private schools in Australia. And you invested that into an index fund. And every year you took the $20,000 and you put it in the index fund and you left the interest in there. So the first year, 20 grand. The next year you've made 8% on that, which is $1,600. and you put another 20 grand in, it's 41,600. And the years are going to go up and down. Some years the index fund might go up by 15%, but some years it might be 5%, but over average, you get an 8% return. As you can see there, over the 12 years that they're at school, or 13 years, depending on your add kindergarten in there, you end up with nearly $400,000 of money sitting in this account. Now, that's amazing. Like, you think, well, hold on a second, that's $400,000. That's a lot of money that I would invest in my child's education. If they went to a public school, wow, like, that's a lot of money. Now, could they buy a property with that, or they could do things and maybe they pay for their tertiary education? But that's not really the thing that I want to try and show you. What I want to try and show you now is what would happen if we left the money in this. We didn't invest any more money. So $20,000 in year one, $20,000 in year two, $20,000 in year three, all up to year 12. And we did not add a single dollar in. We just left the interest in there and all the money, and we just left it in there. We would grow that all the way through to say 55, 60, 65, sorry, 65 and 70 years, right? So they're 5 years old when they're in year one. At 70, they'll be 75 years old. But just to show you, it's exponentially growing. Now, after 15 years, 20 years, they'll have $1 million. 35 years, they'll have $2 million. 40 years, they'll have $3 million. 45, 4 million. 50, 7 million. And if they're 75 years old and they've kept this, hadn't touched it at all, they have $32 million in that account. Now, yes, you need the money when you're younger, but just to think about the concept of this growth and trajectory on compounding. Now, if, for example, they just kept it to the year 40, they'd have $3 million. Now, 40 years old, $3 million, they've got to pay taxes, certain taxes, whatever. I'm not talking about taxes, but that's a hell of a lot of money for a 40-year-old to end up with. And they could go to a public school and you could invest all that private school fees into that environment. And this is the funny concept behind it. Yeah, there might be some, you might have to lose a little bit of money for inflation. Inflation might change things, and these numbers are just sort of subject to the example. But just to show you how strong it is, and I'm going to show you the chart now. This is obviously 60, 65, and 70. They're big numbers at the very end there, but they don't grow to those numbers until the very end. So when you get to year 15, 20, 25, it doesn't really grow a lot. But when you actually get to the point where, you get to the exponential curve at the very end, it grows quite substantially. So the first 13 years, obviously, it really is just the money you're putting in with a little bit of interest. And over that 13-year period, the chart that should be displayed now is just that first 13 years of schooling. And the second chart is where you're going to see the exponential growth. And you'll see after 13 years, it haven't really grown a lot, but when you get to that 30, 40 year mark, it just grows exponentially. And it goes from about $5 million to $30 million over a very short space of time. And that really is where that compounding grows. And obviously that is still only at an 8% growth. We looked at the golf example where we're doubling and, you see it grow really fast at the end. But this also is as a real world example. And if you had this money invested and you got to 52 years old, 55 years old, and you want to retire, you're going to end up with a hell of a lot of money there. So 55 there, or is $10 million, 60 years old, all the way through. So what I'm trying to show you is the real growth occurs really late. Now, if you start investing at 20 or 30, this is the sort of number you might be able to get to. If you wait longer and longer in life, it's just going to get harder and harder and harder to get that exponential growth. So what does that mean for you? Well, the superannuation. So superannuation in Australia is a system that has been set up by the Australian government many, many years ago. Now, the advantage of superannuation is that it's all about taxes. So I'm not a tax accountant and I don't believe to know everything about it, and you should always speak to your accountant to find more information about it. But from an investment point of view, you want to try and put your money in the best avenue you possibly can. And the best avenue you possibly can is the most tax effective structure possible. And superannuation, go to the ATO website. All the information is on the ATO website. They started off, at a low number and they went to 9.5%, and they've increased that now to 10.5%. And by the year 2025, it's going to be 12%. And the reason why the Australian government are doing this is that the old age pension, which we have in Australia, which we get paid out when you retire at 67 or whatever it is a very small amount of money, and the government can't continue to keep funding everything. So they set up superannuation many, many years ago. And New Zealand has done the same thing. So if you're in New Zealand, you have the New Zealand Kiwi Saver, and you can put 4% in, and your employer puts 4% in. In the US, you have the 401k. It's not mandatory for businesses to do that. In Australia, it is. So if you have a job, full-time job, you'll be earning your salary, and then you'll be able to get your superannuation put into super. And most people don't even have a clue where the superannuation is sitting. They don't care, oh, whatever it's, I'm going to retire many years down the track. But actually, it's the most effective tax way that they can make money. And the superannuation concessional contribution caps have just been moved up to 27,500 from 25,000. So what does this mean? It means that up to 27,500 into your super fund, you only pay 15% tax. Now, if you're earning a lot of money, earning $100,000 or $150,000 or more, and if you're very lucky and you're earning more than $200,000, you're going to be in very high tax brackets. And you can invest this money into super at only 15%. So instead of paying 45, whatever percent, and the tax rate will always change. So over the next 10 to 15 years, tax rates will change. They might go up, they might go down, but they're higher in the higher income earners. But at 15%, you can put some extra money into super, and it's a really tax efficient way. Now, the example here I've just given is that if you're earning $100,000 a year, and you'll be receiving around $10,500 of superannuation. Now, if you want to top that up, you could top up another $17,000 of your own money pre-tax, which means that you go to your employer, you say, I want to top up my tax pre-tax. They will put that into your superannuation funds. You got to fill out a few documents and fill them. And it's, before you get paid into your bank account, and that money will be removed every month, $1,000 or whatever you want every month, and it goes into superannuation. So you lose $1,000 every month, big deal, but it reaches up a cap of 25 or 27,500 into super. Now, if you're trying to invest to buy a property and you want to buy a property, well, then maybe this might not be the solution for you, but you only get one bite of this cherry. You don't get to do it later on down the track. Every year you have this cap of $27,500. And once you miss it, there are some concessions and a few things away to get around a few things, but primarily you're going to miss the boat. So if you don't do this for 10 years and you just put in the $10,000 of your employer contributions, you will end up in a situation where you have $100,000 of super instead of $270,000 of super. You only get one chance of this, and you should really take it up. And you can speak to your accountant and investment professionals about this. But what I would suggest you do is you do this because the reason why is we look at this example now of superannuation compounding. If you go to school and then you finish school and you go to do a university degree at 18 or 19, you'll end up with a degree. You'll go out and get a job, and you might only earn $80,000 a year or $90,000 a year. And you're out partying, spending all the money and not investing it. But if you actually started and you topped up your super to $27,000 or a bit more or a bit less, as this example, you won't actually have to do a lot more else. You might buy one investment property, but at the end of the day, by the time you get to retirement, you might own your own house, you might have one investment property. And if you have the superannuation, you actually might be very, very well off, and you don't have to do much. You actually just have to set it up from day one, invest the extra contributions into super. So for this example here, from the age of 23 to 33, you add the $27,000 in, plus the compounding interest, you get about $500,000 in super after 30, only 10 years, which is exponentially great. The advantage there is the next slide. I'm going to click on here. That's coming up. This is in every 10 years, so from 40 to 45 to 50 to 55 to 60 to 65. It grows so big. And if you're getting to $500,000 after 33, and then by 40 you're getting $1 million, and then 45, 50 you're at $2.5 million. And this is a real world example. 55, 60, 65, $8 million. Now, just say, for example, inflation goes through the roof, and the money's not as worth, even it's worth half the amount of money. In today's dollars, even if you just cut this in half and say, okay, inflation's really high, you'd end up with $4 million at retirement. Now, if you're only going to spend $50,000 or $100,000 a year, that's many, many years now of superannuation that you can pull out the other end. And the advantage of that is that actually it's pretty tax-free at the end. There's not a lot of, you don't have to pay taxes to pull the money out of super. So you can invest all this money, it can make lots of returns for you, and you don't get taxed with it. The tax is cheap going in, there's no tax going out. And the advantage here is this, the process starts at the bottom. It takes a long time, 40 years to get to that $1 million mark. But again, like the golf example, like the school fees, it grows exponentially. And $9 million there, obviously that's just the example we're using. It's great. Now, obviously you die, you hand it across to your spouse or your children. It's exponential. The problem with it is most people don't do this at all ever in their lives. And some people who start at say 30 or 40, it's too late. It's so far down the track, and they will get growth. They might get $1 million of super at retirement, but they could have a hell of a lot more money in super. And it's a funny concept, but if you're young and you've got kids and they go through university or they're a bit younger, you really got to go and look at this stuff and say, well, you know, even if you wanted to help them out, you say, oh, I can't buy a house for them, I can't invest, that's too much money. You could just help them. They could top their super up through their employer, and you could just give them a bit of money in cash, 10 grand or something like that every year out of your pocket to support them to, you know, financially get through universities or get through their jobs and to do the travel that they want to do. But they will be very, very wealthy when they get to retirement. And it isn't actually a lot of money. It grows and it grows, and the compounding gets better and better and better. As you can see at the very end, it grows right up at the very end very, very fast. So what's the difference between compounding and not compounding? So I'm just going to, this is the example of what would happen if you didn't invest it. So if you just took the $27,000 and you put it into a fund without any interest at all, that's what would happen to your investment. You would start at $27,000 a year on the left-hand side and compounding interest at 8%, and you get to that $8 million mark. And on the right-hand side is no interest. So not putting it into a fund and just putting it into a bank account, for example, getting 1 or 2% interest or no interest at all, you'd end up with $1 million over that same time period. Now, it just shows you how strong that is. If you wait 10 years or you wait 5 years and you start investing, you know, you might get to the, you know, $6 million mark. If you wait another 10 years, you might get to the $4 million mark. And if you wait to the end, you'll end up with $1 million. So if you started, you know, doing this at say 35, 40 or 50, you'll only have a short amount of time during your work career to actually gain this. But if you're young, especially in your 20s, I would highly recommend this. This is just one avenue. I would say property investment is another one. I do trading, you know, there's equity trading, there's Bitcoin trading, which all the young kids like today. There's so many different ways to make money, but this one is, like, to me, is the bread and butter. Every person that comes to me and I talk to them about investments, I go, hey, are you topping your super up? And they say no. I said, that's the first step. I want to buy a property. Fine, yeah, do your super first, then look at buying an investment property. Or if you can afford it and you've got lots of money and your parents want to help you out, you can buy those freehold homes that you can live in. They're not the greatest investments for young people because they're very expensive. Sometimes it's better to get those lower, you know, they get the high yielding properties that they can get in the market, maybe get a couple of properties under their belt. Obviously, I think the property market's gone so big now, it's very hard for the young children to be able to invest in that. But this is just to show you a small example, and any professional you talk to in the investment world can explain the same concepts, the same analogies. But Paul Yeo, obviously, good friend of mine, he has, you know, a million tricks of the trade on how to, you know, save money every week. You know, and I think it's really important. It's really important. Going out and blowing all your money on travel and partying and having a good time, it's great at the moment, but you should be able to do both. You should try and do this first, and whatever's left over, go and party and travel and enjoy yourself. But this will pay dividends for you in the long run if you can get on early in your career or your lifetime. Even if you're 45, there's nothing stopping you from doing it now until you're 55 or 65. 20 years, you've still got a long time before retirement. And the problem today is that we're going to live a long life. 82 years old, average lifespan for a man or a male or whatever it is. It's going to be 100, 105, you know, all the medical technology and what we're doing with Rett Syndrome, for example. It's amazing. You know, we're going to be able to put people into the future. I heard a number the other day that the human brain will probably not be able to live much past 120, 130 years old. So our body will keep progressing. We can replace hearts and all that, but we can't replace the brain at the moment. So 120 might be the end of our lives. No matter how good your body is, your heart might be able to be replaced, livers and organs and all that, but the brain won't be able to. In this time, one day, 10,000 years from now, we might be able to do that or put it into a computer. But we're going to live a long time. And, you know, if you're not prepared for that and you get to 65 and you want to retire and you've got a $200,000, $300,000 super fund, that's not going to last a long time. You're not going to have a very good retirement. So anyway, I'm going to get Dre back on board. I think we've got a few minutes left over. Dre, you there? You can jump back on again?
I am here. That was awesome. Definitely compounding is the way to go. So get these graphics up. All right, guys, we've got about 5 minutes until Sarah is on the main stage. So if you've got any questions, like, now is the time. All right, actually, Brett, I'm going to ask you the same question that I've been asking everybody else. So
the compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, and that I'd agree. It really is.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yes, with most of the clients that you deal with, are they like young people, or are they all different ages, or?
Yeah, so my very first clients I got last December was a father who had given me donations for charity, and he saw what I was doing. He's like, "Yeah, man, I'll give you the same amount of money last last year I gave you. He goes, but I want to do some coaching. And I'm like, okay, fine. And we sort of had a bit of an agreement. He said, I want you to coach my son as well. So he's a pretty wealthy guy, but he wanted to learn options trading. So I started, just doing a bit of options trading with him and his son. And again, he then introduced me to another one of his son's mates who wanted to do it as well. And I like the young people because I've got a great opportunity. When they're young. Yeah, I still have some older clients as well, but it's been great. Most of my clients are under 35. I think I've got the one gentleman with the dad. Obviously, he's older. Yeah, I think everyone's under 35, and a lot of teenagers. So I got some. They love Bitcoin. They want to learn how to trade Bitcoin. I'm like, okay, fine, but as soon as you can get somebody to super, let's do that. That's the first thing. And then, they want to learn Bitcoin. So I'm teaching them how to trade Bitcoin. I used to be a futures and options trader at UBS investment bank, and I worked at Goldman Sachs, Credit Suisse, JP Morgan, Deutsche Bank. I've worked at all the different investment banks and asset management companies, which is where I work at the moment. But yeah, I like the young people. Like they're really open to things, and they're the ones that can need the most help. I mean, if you're the baby boomers or you're the Gen Y, Gen X, all those numbers, we already got a head start, but our children are going to really suffer because prices, housing's going up, this cost of living, this, and they've really got to make their money, and they've got to get started early. If they wait around 10 years, 15 years to do it, they're never going to be able to get there, right? It's going to be tough for them. So,
yeah. With does everyone have like the same strategy or follow the same strategy, or is everyone kind of individual to their situation?
Yeah, so I'm just doing one-on-one coaching at the moment. I don't have a program, or I've got some basic charts. I mean, I made this up the other day just to show an example for the call. But I basically asked them what they want to do, what they want to learn, and so I can do equities trading, futures and options trading, fixed income, understanding all the different markets, Bitcoin, property investment. I've done a lot of property investment in my lifetime, so teaching that stuff. But as soon as I get to a point where I've teaching them the basics and I get to a level, I'm like, hey, listen, I've got a really good guy here, and I think you should really speak to him and go through. So I'm actually branching out to some other coaches, some other people I know in the industry. The stuff here is a bit about tax, right? I'm not an accountant, so I'll teach them the basics. And then I'm like, you go and speak to your accountant about this, get the real nitty gritty. You've got a personal situation. I don't know all your financial situation, but go and talk to them about it. Find out what other things you can do, because there's a lot of things you can do there. And Paul Yeo, obviously, he talks about a lot of different strategies about making money. And I helped one of my neighbors write a book a few years ago, and we went through all the different strategies. And it's 101 strategies on how to save money and invest money and do things. But yeah, there's a lot of different people out there, and everyone has their expertise. You can't know everything. It is such a massive minefield of stuff. So yeah, I do the basics the trading side of things is really my bread and butter. But investing in superannuation and investment funds, it's simple stuff. It's not hard to do that. But yeah, I know we've got some property options coaches in our group. We've got some business coaches. If you've got a business, man, go and speak to those guys. They're going to teach you how to run your business well. But if you're making a lot of money in business, you should be investing it. And whether it's superannuation, whether it's index funds, don't blow it all. I'm going to buy a new car. If you buy a new car in your business and you spend $100,000 or whatever, it's a nice car, you could invest that money into an index fund, and in 20 years' time, that would be worth $3 million. Or you could just keep rolling your cars over every 3 years. People are like, oh yeah, but it's all tax deductible the business. And like, yeah, but instead of buying the $100,000 car, why don't you drive a $30,000 or $40,000 car, even a second-hand car, still tax deductible, still writing off whatever. I mean, new obviously is better, but I said, invest that money somewhere else. And investing it in a $100,000 truck or whatever, it's like, oh, come on, man, there's better ways to do it. But I get to drive around new truck. I'm like, yeah, but wouldn't you rather have $2.5 million in 15, 20, 30 years time? So yeah, it's important. So,
all right, lovely. All right, so a couple more questions.
One more dad joke for you.
Awesome.
Yeah. So I accidentally gave my wife a glue stick instead of a chapstick, and she still isn't talking to me.
That is one of my favorites. Yeah, thank you for that. And what's the best way for people to contact you? And also,
on the Facebook page. Yeah.
Facebook, yeah.
Add me as a friend and just chat me on there, and off we go.
Awesome. And then once this, the GoFundMe is over, and the best way to donate to like the charity?
Yep. So we've got the one obviously set up at the moment. We've got our website, Rett Research, which I'll put in the chat on the comments, and we can go from there if anyone wants to donate later on. But yeah, we'll keep the charity page open for as long as we can, and I'll go from there.
Awesome.
Yeah, then Paul, without having to travel, I no longer own a car. In fact, it's cheaper to use Uber or a taxi for me. The depreciation on a car is exponential. So yeah.
All right, Brett, just want to say,
okay, enjoy your birthday, man. Take care, and I will speak to you soon. All right.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, you too, bro. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks for today. Been awesome.
Have birthday.
Thank you. Cheers, mate. All right, next we've got Sarah. All right, let's get Sarah out here, who's going to be talking about our healing. Hey, Sarah, can you hear me? Well, I could see her before, but I think she was having problems with her sound. Sarah, if you can hear me, go to settings on the dashboard, just straight down below. Right, she's dropped out. What I'm going to do, I'm going to play a video, and we'll play Holly's, and then I'll see if I can Sarah working in the background. Oh, sorry, play Sophie's. I meant to play Sophie's.
Come on, Sophie.
All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought she was all in fun. Up goes the weasel. All around the mulberry bush, the monkey chased the weasel. The monkey thought she was all in fun. Up goes the weasel.
Girl.
Right, you need to walk yourself. Gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 life is not a dream.
Good girl.
Row your boat gently down the stream.
Say hi, Sweat.
Merrily, 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 life is not a dream.
All right, so Sarah was there before. She's just dropped off. Might come back in a minute. So we'll just give it a few seconds. All right, so for the remaining night, we've got Sarah's up, then we've got Christina, Davy, we've got SALMA, Ali, Laura, Eva's dropped out, but Christine Stowe is going to be back. And then we've got Heather Strand, and then we're finishing the night with Mr. Paul Yeo. Yeah, so Sarah is trying to connect with her mobile phone. If not, all right, so that keeps dropping out. All right. What we could do is I reckon everyone should take a toilet break. Maybe grab a cuppa. And yeah, let's do that. So, all right, I want to take a toilet break and grab myself a drink. And I reckon everybody else should do the same. So I'll play some music and we'll come back at 8 o'clock Sydney time. Hey, can you hear me? Oh, I can't hear you. Go to oh, you can hear me though. Yeah, yeah. Go to settings. Go to. All right. So go to. I'll, I'll type it in there. Yeah. Sarah, can you hear me? You can hear me, yeah? Cool. So with the settings, you've got the microphone, you've got the camera, you've got the share screen button, then you've got 3 other buttons. It's the one on the right-hand side. Bottom. Yeah. So if you click on that, then settings will open up. It will say general, video, audio, and then you click on audio and then go to audio input, and it should say default and another option. So try both of them, and then hopefully one of them should work. Can't hear you now. Try the other one. Can't hear you now. Oh, was that both? Is there another one? No, just don't. Oh, no. So close, so close. I don't know what to, don't know what to suggest. I don't know. Frozen. Are you on your phone now? Are you on like an iPad or something? Are you on your phone? Okay. Right. we'll do a special one. August, no, sorry, How are you?
Hey, good. I didn't see. I was working on something.
So I was just laying down, just like on my phone, just replying to messages, and then I saw, oh, hey Dre, I'm backstage. I was like, oh.
I just wanted to. I mean, I'm not sure if you, I there are two things that are happening. First, obviously, for my first time on the stream, and first time we're using a Canva presentation as well. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to go share screen to share, right? And then select. It's like on Zoom, right? Just share screen.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So you got the window. You got the screen. Got the entire screen, and then you got the window.
Hey. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. You're so phenomenal. What you were able to create was just amazing. So I just want to say thank you as well. And I really wish you all the best. And I hope that the day went the way you wanted.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Like the last 3 days I've been like really impressed by like all the coaches because they're sharing about what they're passionate about or what they're experts in, and like their knowledge and like wisdom. And it's been awesome. It's been awesome. And then like everyone's like raising money, and it's just it's been brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. So thank you. And I'm so glad that you could be part of it as well.
Thank you. So let me know, what should I do?
All right. So we'll wait.
I'm gonna let you lead.
Yeah, cool. We'll start properly in about 3 minutes. But I'll show you where to go. So if you go to the share screen, we'll just test it out to make sure it works, because a few people have had problems today.
Yeah, and I just want to make sure. Right. So share screen.
Yeah.
I'm selecting share.
Awesome. Yep. So and then.
Awesome. Yay! It works.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool.
This is so good.
Right. So what I'll do. Take that off. So I'll just leave that there, and then we can give it a couple of minutes.
Right.
So what's been happening? What's new?
So I don't need to do anything else, right? That's it. And then you just go live.
Yeah, you don't need to. So we are live anyway, but there's only a few people watching at the moment.
Cool. Awesome.
So we can just start again at 8 o'clock. So in about a minute or so. But yeah, what's been happening with you? What's new? What's exciting?
Well, I just finished a 5 days intense program, so I'm a brand new version of me, and I'm in the mood to celebrate. I haven't really got the chance yet because I just finished, and my son came and feed him and do all that mommy stuff before getting ready for this.
Yeah.
So I'm just really looking forward to, after this, to just sit with my son, play a little bit, just be a mom, and just celebrate me. Just really enjoy everything I have experienced, let it integrate, I'm in my heart. I'm feeling wonderful. Honestly, I love
that. You look glowing. Yeah, you look glowing. It's it's good.
Thank you. So I'm excited. New beginning. Yay.
Yeah, good. All right. Let's get cracking. So Christina, welcome. A big, massive, huge welcome to you. And do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do, and what you're going to talk to us today about?
So, well, I'm Christina DAVY, and I am a dating and relationship coach. And I really got into this whole dating and relationship thing just because I went through a lot of experiences trying to find true love. And it's my coaching business is my passion. I live, breathe, eat. This is just like, I'm kind of like you, like I just don't want to stop. I just continuously want to give, learn more about it, share. So I feel like I'm in the best time of my life. Yeah, and my life is not perfect by all means, you know, but I'm enjoying the journey where I am, so it's good. Yeah, it's really good. And I'm single. I am 46, going on 35, and I have a son who's 9. And yeah, I'm just recently single. Actually, I'm kind of adjusting to that as well.
Yeah. All right. So you don't look 46 to me. I'd say 36 or 35, as you were saying.
Thank
So
you.
don't look 46. Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah, and tonight I'd really want to share about, because I know there are a lot of coaches out there. There are a lot of ladies who are independent, successful in many ways, right? Not just as a career, but as a mother, as a friend, that she feels successful, but she still struggles finding Mr. Right. So I just want to give a, you know, I packed as much as I could in this presentation just to give a lot of value. And obviously, if anybody feels like they want to follow me or they want to join me, you know, in my group, or I have a Facebook challenge coming up soon, then that would be awesome as well. So should I start?
Yeah, this is brilliant. So just before you do start, it's yeah, I think this is a great topic. So I know lots of women that are like very successful coaches, but they find it challenging to find the right guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna leave, and I'll see you in about 20-25 minutes.
Awesome. All right. So really, you know, from what I've noticed is that there's a tendency for the single woman to the single and independent and successful woman to really kind of blame the men. You know, there are no good men out there, you know, or they're not masculine enough, or they're too feminine, or they're not driven enough. And you know, I now as a single woman, I actually, you know, I get a taste of that as well, because I've been in a relationship for nearly 3 years. So I totally get it, right? However, the conscious woman knows that she has to look within, right? So I want tonight to show, you know, that successful, independent, you know, single woman, how she can really connect with a man and how she can really find Mr. Right, because sometimes Mr. Right is right in front of us and we might not be able to see it. So I just want to say that, you know, really, it's when we look inside, you know, we're going to find the power to create a love that we truly desire. And I'm not going to say there are not a lot of people out there that are not necessarily worth your time, but I really believe that we create what we believe. We create, you know, when we believe and when we have the knowledge as well, when we have the awareness. So first I want to start with by saying, you know, like, let's just erase this whole like independent woman. Like I feel like and see that many women kind of slap the man in their face with this whole independence thing. And it's nothing wrong with being independent, and it's nothing wrong with being interdependent, right? Because this is what we really want to. The truth is that while you are independent, right, you don't always want to do everything on your own. The truth is that you want to share, you know, life with someone else, and it's absolutely beautiful, and it feels so good when someone else, especially a man, does something for you. So allowing a man to do something for you and not necessarily keep showing him all the time how independent you are, you know, it's actually going to help you on the long run. So the other thing that I want to also speak about is the fact that the independent and successful woman knows her worth, that's for sure. But what I have realized is that many those women who are in their 30s or 40s or 50s, 60s, you know, they still have that little girl inside themselves that it's still looking for validation that she's worthy of love or acknowledgement that she's good enough. And that little girl inside is trying to control the way things are or should be. So the little girl wants to feel safe. that's what's happening. The little girl wants to know that she's not opening her heart to the wrong man. She wants to know that he will be taking care of her, that he will be showing up for her. And sometimes, out of the desire of feeling safe, she wants to control how things will get done, or how things should be, or how the future should look like. And it is really beautiful to be able to actually surrender, let go of that control a little bit, because the truth is that there is more than one way on how to do something. That is certainly just, I feel sometimes that we make a lot of assumptions, and our assumptions really are just perceptions and projections. That's what it is. So what do we have to master to be able to find Mr. Right really is actually this: understanding what needs to change within yourself. Why is it important to you to find love again? Clarity on who would fit in your life. Most women think they do know, but they actually don't. They don't go deep enough. They're not specific enough. They don't have enough exposure based on who this man is that could fit in your life. Sometimes you don't really know where to find it, right? And if you actually for anybody that's watching this, if you are going to message me directly, I will be able to give you a list with, I think there are about 100 places where you can find a high quality man. And I'll be glad to share that with you. That's from my paid program, Love Map. So the other thing that most women need to master is actually they need to have a clear understanding of their standards and their boundaries as well, and keeping their vibe high. It's so easy when you're single to just go really deep down. Life sometimes is hard and challenging, and we forget to do what it takes for us to feel good and to really raise our vibration so our radiance is shining. And ultimately, most women are operating based on relationship or dating skills learned from their mother, or from the ladies, other ladies around, that they have been hurt. They have really, been in some really bad relationships as well. So the dating and relationship skills that need to really kind of be, updated are the art of conversation, flirting, understanding, and balancing the masculine and feminine energy. And I know Dre, you had a few coaches already talking about that. Beautiful Veronica was here, and she, went really deep into it. And I'm so happy she did, because it's, that awareness is so necessary. And we also need to understand how to message, how to understand men and how they think. And I think knowing how to create that sparkle, right? Because many independent women go on a date and they keep saying, they keep experience this lack of sparkle, right? So the lack of sparkle really is polarity, right? It's that attraction, that chemistry, and it's in our power to create that. It's certainly in our power to create it, but most women actually don't really know how. So they tend to think it's something that's just happening, but we actually that's when we can actually and we have to understand that we do have the control of creating that sparkle, but we have conditions around it. And when those conditions are not being met, then we don't allow ourselves to create that sparkle with a man. So it's quite interesting. So then we kind of just give that cold vibe, and the man can't really connect with it. So I was talking about letting go of control. When we go on a date, we kind of want to know it all. We kind of we are focusing on the interview, on the questions, and it really kills the vibes on a date, right? So staying open, to interact rather than interview will always help you create connection. And the other thing that most women who are successful and independent and have been single for a long time have a really hard time when it comes to being vulnerable. Vulnerability doesn't mean that you're weak. That's the truth. You know, it means that you are actually emotionally aware and you'll consciously choose when to acknowledge your feelings and really speak about it. You know, being unafraid to speak about your feelings rather than pretend, wear a mask. So it's that ability, that trust in yourself, that you are able to resolve conflict and the tension with one another, and knowing that when you speak from your heart, a man really listens rather than when they're being told what to do, when they are being blamed or criticized. Something else that we really need to master is communication. Communication has to be clear. Women have the tendency, you know, I don't know if you've ever been in a car, you know, with a man, and maybe you needed to go to the toilet and you want to like stretch your legs, and instead of saying, hey, I just want to go to the toilet, you just kind of say, oh, do you need to go to the toilet? And the man goes like, no. And then you're like, oh, you know, and then you just still don't speak about what you actually need. So sometimes we go around the bush too much, or there are, you know, other women that they're too abrupt in their communication, and it really makes a man feel like controlled. It makes him feel like he's being told what to do, and you know, he's going to meet you with resistance rather than willingness to do and listen. So in order for you to have a clear communication, you really have to tap inside yourself. You really have to understand clearly what you need, because sometimes a woman has a hard time making herself understood because she actually doesn't quite understand herself what she needs. She needs to talk about it in order to find out. So when she talks about it, the man can get a bit confused because he doesn't really understand what she's asking him. So communication has to be clear. And in Love Map, you know, I teach women, I show women, you know, many ways of communicating with a man. And no woman that goes into Love Map comes out the same, because, you know, the communication that they learn, it's not great just with a man. It's actually the way how they learn to communicate. You know, they can apply that in their job, in their career, in their business, you know, with their friends and so on. So anyway, now the other thing that we really need to master is learning to surrender. And surrender, it doesn't mean, many women think that surrendering means being submissive. But that's not what surrendering is about. Surrendering is about really trusting and feeling safe within. I went on a date yesterday, for example, and I didn't really know the guy, right? And I was in my feminine, and I felt like, oh, I just wanted to control it. I wanted to control the conversation. I wanted to, you know, say many other things, you know, that will give me the certainty that I'm safe with this man. But the truth is that, you know, ultimately, I just had to remind myself that I can trust my awareness. I can trust my knowledge. I can trust myself and my choices. And when I did that, I was able to open up. I was able to meet him at a different level than you know, I would have if I didn't surrender to just be in the moment. So really realizing that we have the power in our heart, you know, to connect with a man, and to really. My dog is locked in my office. You can probably hear it, but oh well, he's going to have to stay here until the end. Anyway, so understanding that we have our power in our heart, you know, to connect with a man, and it's not a thing that's just happening. I think it will really take you a long way, okay? Because the truth is that a man really connects with your energy. A man connects with your feelings, you know, with the emotion that you are creating in the moment. And if you're not surrendering and you're controlling, he can't really connect with you. So you will come across cold, and out of a sudden he'll turn around saying, I don't want a relationship. So you are the one. The woman really has the power to create the connection, by allowing herself to open up. And when she opens up, he can feel her heart, otherwise she's just cold, and it's a shutdown energy, and it doesn't feel right. So the other thing that I want to really bring some light to is like showing appreciation and respect the way we speak with a man, right? For what they say or do, even if it's just something really small. Sometimes, women tend to go like, oh, he just did this one small thing and he wants a medal for it. But by not giving him that medal, you actually are making him not want to do it again. So showing appreciation and respect really takes you a long way. So I think, oops, let me just see if I can get this. So understanding that you have the power to create connection rather than expect to meet a guy that you're just going to feel the connection, it will take you a long way in finding Mr. Right as well. And the last thing that's very difficult sometimes for the woman that's independent and successful and the CEO of her life is to be playful, to really step into that feminine energy and smile and communicate with her eyes, the joy, the love, her presence, being in the moment, not being in her head, analyzing everything that he does or he says. That will also help you connect with a man and turn him into Mr. Right. I want to briefly talk about the attraction formula as well. I know we only have a few more minutes, but in order for you to create attraction, what has to happen is visual chemistry. Obviously, first you see the person, right? And then in order to create attraction with a man, you really have to, he has to have a perceived challenge. So if you are being a little bit cheeky, if you are being a little bit mysterious, if you are being a little bit not unavailable, but rather not so available, let me put it this way, not so available, right? Just like he needs to jump through some hoops in order to get to you, then that will make him want to know more, or will make him want to really spend more time as well. And he really has to perceive there's value in being with you. So perceived value is very important as well. And you're going to establish that through standards and through boundaries, right? And then allowing yourself to be in your heart will create that connection, as I said, which is ultimately all of these 4 items ingredients will really create a deep and lasting attraction. So this is kind of what I prepare for today, Dre. I know that you want to ask some questions as well. But before we move into talking, if it's okay, I just want to invite anyone who's listening to this to really join me on my Level Up Your Dating Style dating challenge. It starts on the 24th of July at 8 p.m. It's going to be really changing the way you look at dating completely. Yeah, that's going to be really awesome if you would like to really understand, what's in your power to do or to change in order for you to meet Mr. Right. And I just want to admit, I've done so many presentations. I do one almost every week, and I'm still quite nervous about being here. And I think, the whole intensity of the last 5 days, it's been quite like, so yeah, I hope that it made a lot of sense and people, are getting out of this as well.
Yeah, it was absolutely fire. I love that. So that is just for women, your 5-day Facebook challenge?
Yes, I work just with women. I think I came to the conclusion a while ago that I used to work with men and women, but they do have different problems. a man going on a date and trying to connect with a woman will have different set of will need different set of skills and in order to really make it happen. So yes, now it's just women.
Yeah, all right, awesome. And then like with the women, you teach them everything about like dating, so even down to like text messages and having that
That's
conversation
right.
there. And
Yes, one of the things that really is actually crazy, it's the amount of time that men and women are spending messaging each other when they are online. Like, it's crazy. It drives me insane. Stop messaging, because when you message someone, all you do, you create an image of this other person, but that person is just in your head. It's not really who that person is, because if you think about it, somebody's sending you a message, right? And your perception of the message builds an image about that person. So understanding that, how to communicate through messages and really spend the time on a video call rather, or on even if it's just a phone call or face to face, it will take them a long way too.
yeah,
Have you been on a date
recently? A date? No, not for a long time.
All right. The last time when you went on a date, how was the woman? How did you perceive the woman on the date?
Yeah, good. So I'm someone that would probably prefer to speak on the phone than to send a text message. So I'm very much audio. But yeah, when I used to date, I used to love it. So because I used to love like the chase. I used to like that sort of
the perceived challenge. The perceived
yeah,
right?
that's it. Whether that she liked me, whether she didn't, whether I could, get her or whether I can. It was a game, sort of like cat and mouse. So I really enjoyed that. Nowadays, it's I do want to get married, have kids, and all that sort of thing, but I'm not really looking. So I'm just waiting for everything to come to me, and I know it should when the timing's right.
I think that the only, and I do admit, like in my previous relationship, my partner knocked at my door. Literally, he actually came to buy my pool table, so I knew nothing about the man, and
Wow.
I had no idea that, it didn't even cross my mind. And so I can totally, I do believe in divine timing, but I also think that sometimes it's like anything else. If we don't put some time, it's not really going to happen. Like in your business, if you don't put some time, it's not going to happen. In your interaction with your kids, if you don't put some time, it's not going to really happen. So I think sometimes we just need to bring it from here a little bit more, like maybe not right here, but at least like somewhere here.
Yeah.
To open up, to just open up to it.
Yeah, so I like your point. So I'm probably pretty closed off at the moment, like to it. So that's what it would be. So
yeah.
So it's like it would be nice, but I probably just don't want it right now.
That's right, and that's totally okay. That's totally okay as well. Cool. So how was this whole experience? Was it good? Was it crazy? It's like you happy it's over?
Yeah, so what, a few more hours and then we're done. So I'm looking forward to bed and going to sleep and then just having like a proper night's sleep. Let me sneak in a couple of questions before we get somewhere else. So what would be, so like with your clients and potential clients, what would be some of their like main sort of challenges around like dating? Would it be, like confidence? Would it be like self-belief, or yeah, what would be like what are the main sort of pain points that you see? Or
Many women are struggling actually finding it. They say finding the man, right? That's one of the things that comes to they come to me with, right? And the finding doesn't happen because they really don't know where, and they don't know where to go because they don't have a clear understanding who this person is. For example, right? I remember this session with this woman. She wanted to connect with a man, and she was doing a 9-to-5 job. And when we went deep, she realized that, well, what she would really like to do is move away from the city and have a farm and really be on a farm and maybe work part-time, but be with a man on a farm. And that was her ideal life. So once we established that, right, now we had a clear understanding of who she should look for, right, which was a farmer. It makes sense, right? And how many farmers are all alone out there because they don't really have the time to really go online dating or whatever, and they're quite secluded as well, right? So imagine having that clarity. She wanted to live on a farm, right? So now she could actually start looking for a farmer, so now we had an idea of where she could go look for to meet them, right? So that's one of the things. And then obviously confidence as well, right? Women tend to go on a date to validate something, to get some validation about themselves, or sometimes really to confirm beliefs, something that they already believe. They go on a date and that's exactly what happens because that's what they believe. So they manifest it. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Right. Let me ask you another question. So, say if it's dinner, so there's a man and a woman out for dinner, who should the guy pay for the dinner, or should the woman offer to pay for the dinner? Should they go 50-50? What's your take on that?
Good question. That's a great question. I actually did it's very controversial as well. So what I would recommend is, I think on the first date, you should always keep it small. I'm against dinner or anything that takes a long time on a first face-to-face date. Just go for a drink, or go for a coffee, or go for a walk, but don't do something that's going to cost a lot of money, right? So you go to really get to know the person. So you just, it's not about dining out, or it's not about, let's see how much money he can spend. Or so I think the man, and I know any woman that knows her worth would want a man to pay for the drink or for the coffee. But I also think that it's really nice and respectful for the woman to offer to pay, because you don't know what situation that guy is in really, right? And it's just nice to show willingness that you can pay, and he can take it or leave it, but based on where he's at, and who he is, and how he was taught, he can take it or leave it. But the men should offer, the woman should offer, and the man can say yes or no. But don't push him. Don't push like, oh, I want to pay. I want to know I'm paying for myself. Or that's not smart. Allow him to do something for you. Allow him to, show his investment, even if it's just a coffee.
I love that. All right. So just worried about time. So last question, actually 2 questions. How can people get hold of you? What's the best way?
Yeah, if you can you put the presentation back on? I was just going to do a visual as well, really quick. Sorry. So you can find me on Facebook, CRISTINA DAVY. I'm really nice and easy. Or you can also find me on Instagram at CRISTINA/DAVY. And I would like to invite you, if you're a single woman that's, you know, open to find true love again, to meet her soulmate, you know, you want to be exposed to, you know, different skills, different knowledge, you know, get new awareness, then I would love to invite you to join me on Manifest Your Soulmate and Attract True Love Facebook group. You know, it's a beautiful communion of women, you know, very supportive, non-judgmental. You know, it's all just pure support, you know, for the woman who dates and has some questions and wants to know, you know, more, or has a dilemma. I'm always available, you know, doing my best to answer to any questions that may come. So that's it.
Brilliant. And final question. What would you like to leave us on? Do you have any like final words? Do you have like a quote? You know,
Yes.
maybe something inspirational, something that, yeah.
One quick advice. You really can't find love or a partner before you are open to love. You know, if you have been hurt, if you are way too busy and keep busy because it gives you, you know, makes you feel good and significant and whatever what it is, then love might not come to you really, you know, or it might come and you might not see it, or you might not have time for it. So you gotta set an intention, like anything else, like any other goal. Like if you believe in manifesting, right, you are setting an intention for it. So if you think a partner will bring value to your life, then, and it's not about, you know, as a woman, it's not about, oh, like, why would I want another man to do his laundry and have to cook for him, and just another human being that I have to take care of? And, you know, so if you open to love, things are unfolding for you in just amazing and unknown way. So that's the first start. That's what I will start, you know, before anything else. And as you open to love, somebody could knock at your door, but if you don't have the skills on how to date, it might just be like a one date or two or three, and then it's just another man that's not good enough, or it's not masculine, or yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Christina, yeah, absolutely love that. Thank you.
Thank you. I want to do something really quick before I go. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Dren. Happy birthday to you.
You are so beautiful. Thank you so much. Love you to bits. And yeah, thank you for giving up your time, contributing, donating to the cause, and jumping on board. So yeah, got so much love for you.
Thanks. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah. All right. Take care. I'll speak to you soon. Thanks, Christina. Appreciate you. All right. Next up, we have SALMA Ali in the house. Hey, can you hear me?
Hey, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear
Can you
you. I
see?
can't see you. So we might have to change your settings on your camera. So
Oh, I had it on
yeah, that's all
earlier,
right.
but
That's all right. So if you go down to, can you see the settings on the dashboard? So you've got the mic, you've got
setting. Oh, I've
the,
got it here.
yeah, cool. And then you want to go to video,
Right, that's
and
odd.
then
Okay, sorry. Unable to access can make sure properly connected. Right, that's really odd because I could see myself earlier. Sorry,
yeah, what does
that's
the option
strange.
say? Yeah, we've had a couple of like problems with the. Oh, there we go.
Oh, there I am. Okay, right. I'm too close
Yeah.
to the camera. Okay, nice
How
to
are
see
you?
you, Dre.
Yeah,
So
you
happy
too.
birthday first. And
Yeah,
I hope
thank
you
you.
celebrate after you've finished the day because it's your last day, isn't it? On
Yeah,
this,
I'm gonna be celebrating with sleep, lots of sleep.
yes, need
So
it. But happy birthday. And okay, so my name's Salma, and
Yeah.
I'll just talk today. I'm a business coach for coaches. I help women starting and scaling an online coaching business, all through organic marketing strategies. So,
Love
firstly,
it.
I'd like to thank you, Dre, for putting this all together and giving such a wonderful opportunity to all the coaches. I think you had 101 coaches talking. So yeah, it's been phenomenal, and I can see all the engagement, and wow, it's so great. And well, the biggest thing is to that you've done this all for charity, and so I wanted
Yeah.
to do that introduction before.
Yeah, thank you so much. Right, I'm going to leave. You do your thing, and we'll pop
Yeah,
back in maybe about 20 minutes or so. We'll have to finish before the hour, and then this is the last session, or the penultimate session. Then we'll open up a brand new one. So we'll close this one down afterwards. So, all right, you
yeah.
good? You don't need any slides or anything?
No, I think it's streaming on my profile too. So, oh, that's odd. It's saying this video is live now, but it's not showing up on my profile. But never mind.
Okay, I'll have a look at mine. Yeah. All right, I'll speak to you in a
Oh,
bit.
it is now. See you then.
Okay, so yeah.
So, what I'd like to see you later. Bye.
You
Okay,
okay?
so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm fine. Sorry, there was a bit of a pause there. So, I'd like to talk about marketing and selling in this session today. And marketing and selling are two separate things. Sometimes we get a bit mistaken or confused, but marketing is attracting those who you want and getting pre-qualified and pre-ready to take the action. And selling is actually selling your service and getting people to say yes to your offer. So it's really important because marketing is really vital to every business. And often entrepreneurs or coaches really put it off and they sabotage their own success because they don't follow marketing through properly. So, how do we basically avoid this? And I'd like to share what a truly healthy perspective on marketing looks like. So, first thing I'd like to talk about is mindset. So, understanding sales at a deeper level. So, it's at its core, selling is a service. So, when you understand that not selling your service to people who really need it, it's actually doing them a disservice. And this is when your perspective about sales shifts completely. And like I said, sometimes we have different perspectives on sale. We can perceive sales as being pushy, annoying, frustrating, nagging, but we really need to change this perception and think of it like this. If your clients bought your program, your one-to-one service, or your course, you could go a lot more faster for them to get their end result. And just remember this, that your service is basically the bridge between the pain and pleasure island. So your client is on the pain island, and your program will hopefully bridge them and get them to where they want to be, to the pleasure island. And how do I summarize this? So think about what value as a coach. If you believe in what you do, then it's your moral obligation to share it with others to basically help them transform their life. Because at the end of the day, as coaches, we are in business for the same reason, and that is we are heart centered business, and our purpose is to transform people's life. So that's why we're here. So just ask yourself a question. What would it cost a potential client not to do business with you? Think of it that way. So I'll just give you an example here, just to make it a bit clearer on that statement. So, for example, if you're like a healing coach that relieves people's pain, it's important to determine how that pain impacts the person's life. So, for example, does that pain affect their mood? And of course it does, because and how does the mood affect their relationship, their work, their life? And does their pain affect their ability to do physical things and enjoy themselves, basically? Does their pain affect their sleep? So if you as a coach had something that could take that away, relieve that pain, then that would be worth to them. What would it be worth to your clients? So, like, you see, sometimes what tends to happen with most people is they sort of lose hope that something in their life can be different, because they get sort of desensitized to their pain, whether it's physical, emotional, or spiritual, or financial. And people start thinking that the pain is actually a normal part of their life and that there is no way out. However, there is another way out, and it's you as a coach who can show them through that, through a way out through your services. And you could really give them hope by being able to truly express your message to them in a way that they see value in it. So ask yourself again as a coach, do you believe in your service? Do you believe that it has value to the person's life and that it can make a significant impact? And if you do believe, then, like I mentioned before, it'd be your moral obligation to let them know about your service. In fact, you don't need to share it. If you don't share it, you're withholding the service that could improve people's lives. So you might be thinking, well, I don't know, the offer that I have, will it have that much of a big impact on the client? But it may be that you're not looking at its true sort of impact. So really build certainty around yourself, around your service, around your program, whether it's one-to-one coaching, your course. Because if you have certainty yourself, that certainty will show up, and your clients will also be certain in your service. So the next thing is I'd like to talk about is marketing, persuasion, and sales, and delivering content, because content really adds on value to the market, and it's all through effective storytelling. And some elements you should include in a story. It must be catchy. So when people read the first few sentences, they become very interested in reading more. So starting off with things like wonder why, how to, and what if. That's really important, because it's like an open statement. It draws people closer to you because they're more curious to see what goes on. And speak to your ideal clients' goals and address their fears and their dreams, because that's what they're looking for. Also, if you articulate the problems of your clients, if you can do this, and then your clients will think the solution to their problems. So articulating the problems of your clients is really important too. And also speak about the pain and pleasure. If you do this, if you don't do this, you're missing half of your audience. So always speak about the pain and pleasure. And you should also include a CTA, call to action, because people won't know what action they need to take to access further support. So CTA is really important as well. Some other ingredients you can have in your story is an origin story, because origin stories always sell. So remember that your clients are probably another version of you. So if you have a compelling origin story, make sure you share it. And we do need to be sometimes vulnerable in this space, because coaching is about relationships as well. You're selling a service, and you need to create that relationship. Your program, second thing is why your program, why your one-to-one coaching or course. So why you, it's important that you sort of talk about why. So this is when you can talk about credibility, you can bring social proof as well, so testimonials. And then also within your story, you can have an element of overcoming your clients' limiting beliefs in advance. So we know that everyone has limiting beliefs, which could be a stop from them to pursue or buy your course or program. So trying to overcome your clients' limiting beliefs is important. Next thing is include social proof. And also lastly, it's casting doubt that your clients may have. Other tips you can use in storytelling is basically what are the aspects of your life story that your tribe may connect to. And also, secondly, think about how your story created the path to what you do now. And lastly, how does your service serve as part of your purpose? So how does your service serve as part of your purpose? So that's some tips on storytelling. The other thing is concentrating on the bridge. So like I said, your program is a bridge between Pain Island and Pleasure Island. And it's important to include like a call to action within the bridge, because if you don't, then sales won't happen. And a bridge can help you transition easily from your story right to call to action as well. So you can address call to action within that area as well. The importance of call to action is don't make your clients do the work, don't make them think, tell them that exactly what they should be doing in your call to action. So some other important elements of call to actions could be how your clients is going to feel, what my client results will be. It's important you include a money back guarantee, because that will really work, and it will help your clients feel confident about your service. So if it's a program, you have a money back guarantee. With one-to-one coaching, you don't need that element, because they're just one-to-one. But you can always offer them like a pro bono coaching session at the beginning. So it's entirely up to you. And when you're doing a program, then it's good to include some bonuses, because people love bonuses. And also include an urgency. So for example, if you buy within the next 5 days, you get 30% off, because that will help people make a decision quicker. And you can, within your CTA, you can also address obstacles and beliefs. And also it's important telling them what to do next. So the funnel needs to be very clear on what action they need to take next. Otherwise, what happens is people just don't know what to do and what direction to go to. So let's talk a bit more about selling a service. And we all know that selling a service is so much harder than selling a product, and the main reason is because people cannot see, feel, or test you at all. A service, whereas a product they can see, feel, and test and trial. So as a service provider, so I'm talking about coaching services, you really need to demonstrate that your offer or your program or your course will move your clients from A to B, and that's from Pain Island to Pleasure Island again. Because in essence, the outcome that your clients are looking for is a transformation. So that's basically what they're really looking for. And people will also only buy from you as a service provider. There are three main factors, which are like, know, and trust. And how do you, there are ways where you can establish this like, know, and trust factor. And the first and most important thing is to create authority. So to create authority, it could be things like testimonials you're putting up. It could be things like putting up together like an ebook with knowledge of what you do. And yes, so they're the two things that I can think of, but there's other ways you can establish authority. Also, another thing you could do is to build that know, like, and trust factor is provide a result in advance to your clients. This could be to run like a free challenge and exposure to your program. So you could give an element of it free to your proposed clients. And then that gives them a taste of what you do and how great your offer is. It could be doing an ebook, making an ebook, talking about that specific thing that they're looking for. And then this ebook could be with you for lifetime, and you could just continue giving that away free. And also pro bono coaching is another way you can get your clients to like and trust you. So offering free coaching sessions, and it's important that you ask for in exchange of testimonials. These things really help you to gather social proof and raise your authority as well. The next thing is creating a relationship. So it's really important that you create solid relationships of trust and connection with your tribe. That's really important. And how you can do this is being really authentic. Come from a place of service. Be congruent. Be transparent. And also, when you've interacted with your clients the first time, really don't go straight into sales. Build that relationship, have conversations. You can talk about, how's your day? So really building a relationship before you jump straight into trying to sell your service, because it's all about relationship. Marketing is about relationship in the coaching space. And also the skills you can adopt are things like listening, validating, and really showing interest. Sorry, sore throat. So other ways you can help your clients is think about the problem and solution equation. So if your clients don't have a problem, you don't have a business. So regardless of your business, in one way or another, your clients have a problem for which you have a solution to. So remember it like pain. People become really comfortable with the problems, and they may need to remind them. And once you define their problem, you can show how you have the solution to their problems. And after that, you can define what other problems they might have and what solution you have for that as well. So the process looks like something like problem. What is a problem your ideal clients are having that your service will solve? solution would be, what is a solution that your service provides? And then it's problem again. What problem still exists even after you've given the solution to your services? And then the solution will be, what can you offer that solves the remaining problem? And it's really important that you deliver your promise. I've mentioned this before. You need to be very always over deliver as opposed to under deliver, because your clients will want more from you. And also, it's why we're here for as coaches. We're here to serve people. So always deliver your promise and over deliver your promise. So I don't have much time, so I'm going to talk about credibility. So it's important that we show credibility as well. And so just imagine that you're creating an instant connection with your tribe, and you immediately become someone they know, like, and trust. And that could be from your written marketing materials as well as your speaking to individuals and groups. So you can position yourself as a person they want to do business with by creating credibility and showing vulnerability. So regardless of your experience or education, you as a coach are credible. And this is why you're in this space right now. And you probably don't know it, but you're probably an expert in your niche as well. However, being an expert doesn't actually mean that people will know you unless you wear the hat. So you need to take off that invisible hat off and really truly be ready and willing to own your own hat. So you need to get out there. So no matter how credible you are, like I said, you don't have credibility unless you show others, unless you tell others about yourself. And that's really about getting out there, telling your audience who you are, what you're about. So that is the way forward in coaching. Couple of minutes left. I was going to touch on elevator pitch, but I'll just very briefly, actually, shall we go back to Dre and see?
Hey, superstar. No, that's all cool. I love the points there. So it's just that we have to shut this down, like the stream, and then I need to open up the last session of the day. So one quick question. What's the best way for people to get hold of you?
So I have a Facebook group. I don't know how I can I put it in the chat? I have I'm
Yeah.
quite new in coaching as well. I just gained my certificates and credentials. So I have a Facebook group. I am a coach for women, so it's only for women, but they can join my Facebook group or reach out to me via MSN Messenger, and then I'll give you further details. But I am due to launch my group program, and it'll cover the same thing again, but it's more involved, and it'll help people with really setting up and launching their coaching business. So just drop me a message, and hopefully I'll get in touch. Or if you search
Awesome. All right.
me, you'll see my picture anyway.
Brilliant. All right, Sam, I just want to say a massive thank you for the tips, coming on, all the value, being part of what we've created over the last 3 days. It's been magical. So really thank you for that. Everybody that's tuned in watching, we're about to close this stream down, and we've got 4 more speakers left for the rest of the evening. And then I think we're starting with Laura, and yeah, so 2 hours to go. So Selma, thank you so much. I will be speaking to you very shortly. You're an absolute superstar.
Thank you, Jay. Happy birthday again.